what's good in the hood and what's real in the field. You have just tuned in to the best pop the trunk podcast out of the ill, Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. Choose your destiny. My people just patiently wait on a rant god. Got something in store. My rivals are sellouts and I am the real nigga mascot. No honorable mentions and this ain't no lynching, but I come in next like an ascot. It's ice on my veins for the last shot. You can't relate, you on crack rock. I paint the picture with a backdrop. Jealousy lit to you selling me out. I see you eyeing my padlock. My combination like Roy Jones. Fuck around and get your ass dropped. Choose your destiny wisely. Get you an ebony, forget an ivory. I fight the power like one of the Isleys or Public Enemy. You can't deny me. I'm a shooting star and I aim at who's ahead of me, pulling from afar like I'm Dame when you start pressing me. A trend-setting trailblazer, that right there my legacy. I won't sell my soul for no rings, I got integrity. I hold people accountable, it's insurmountable how I will rattle the hicks. The coons don't like how I'm handling this. The joke is on y'all, this a battle of wits. Any topic, I be tackling it. My hit stick is lethal, could shatter your ribs. Blood will come out your bladder, no piss. I know you're not ready to challenge the smear. My people just patiently wait on a rant god. Got something in store, my rivals are sellouts and I am the real nigga mascot. No honorable mentions and this ain't no lynching, but I come in next like an ascot. It's ice on my veins for the last shot. You can't relate, you on crack rock. I paint the picture with a backdrop. Jealousy lit to you selling me out. I see you eyeing my padlock. My combination like Roy Jones. Fuck around and get your ass dropped. Damn. Choose your destiny wisely. Get you an ebony, forget an ivory. I fight the power like one of the Isleys or Public Enemy. You can't deny me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 4, Episode 4 of Recency Bias Radio, entitled Choose Your Destiny. I am your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trio, Rant God, Thanos, all of the above on that ISAT test and that ACT. You know what it is. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, like we never left. We went on a slight hiatus. I had to handle Celebrity Big Brother US Season 2 coverage for my YouTube fam, and I am back once again, not only for my YouTube fam, but for my SoundCloud family as well, for another sports podcast, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of stuff that went down since the last time we talked, okay? So in this episode, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a quick rundown to give you a gist of what we're gonna go and discuss tonight, okay? So we're gonna talk about Greg Hardy making his UFC debut and making his second fight and being disqualified. We're going to talk about how UFC is dealing with a race problem. We're going to talk about Francis Ngannou versus Cain Velasquez recently on ESPN about a week ago. We're going to talk about Tyson Fury signing with Top Rank. We're going to talk about Anthony Joshua fighting Big Baby Miller in America after saying he wouldn't fight in America because there was too much money to make in the UK. We're going to talk about his fake ass. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And you know we going to get into the NFL. We gotta discuss where I left off. You know, my Cowboys took a L. I ain't running from none of y'all motherfuckers. We gotta discuss that Rams game. We gotta discuss the NFC Championship game that was rigged to hell and back. We gotta discuss the Super Bowl that I didn't even watch, okay? I ended up watching that bitch on YouTube hours later. I stood with Cap, damn it. I stood with Cap. Alright, so we're gonna discuss that. We're going to also discuss Jared Goff being worse than Mitchell Trubisky. Boy, hey man, I know y'all missed me. I know y'all missed me because it's already lit. And I ain't even got into this shit yet, okay? We're going to talk about how all of a sudden Kareem Hunt is going to be accepted back into the league when it's time to help a white boy out. He can come back. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl, putting on a masterclass. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Dak Prescott in the Pro Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in terms of the NBA talk, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. We're going to discuss All-Star Weekend. We're going to discuss the Pelicans-Lakers trade saga. We're going to discuss the 76ers finessing everyone in the league with their own trades. Who would have thought Elton Brand would be this fucking guru of trades? I mean, no one saw this coming. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss all of this. And you know we gotta fry Stephanie for getting put in a blender by several people at the All-Star game. So please, get yourself a nice cold beverage. If you smoke, roll one up, coach. Because for the next couple of hours, y'all gonna be thoroughly enthused, alright? So, without further ado, let's talk that hot shit. Let me get some water. Alright, I'm ready for the smoke. Alright, so The first thing I want to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, is the Greg Hardy UFC situation. I think I've built up during this season. I think I have showed everyone the amount of progress I have really made in terms of covering combat sports like UFC, MMA, boxing. I have really done a lot of research before this season started because I wanted to provide another facet to this sports podcast, you know, and sooner or later I will incorporate the soccer element to it. But for now, I want to bring people along slowly, okay? Because once we start adding soccer to it as well, I think this shit's gonna blow up 100%. But for now, I want to be loyal to my cult fan base. I know most of them don't watch soccer, but I know most of them love to watch a fight. So I know they'll probably tune in for this. And don't worry, if you guys want to tune in and you want to actually listen to something different, I will provide timestamps in the description below, okay? Now, that's for all the on-demand people. If you're watching this live, tough luck. But anyway. Alright, so let's discuss this Greg Hardy situation, because this pissed me off, okay? Now, so basically, it essentially shows you how white privilege works in the UFC. So to give you guys a quick rundown, Greg Hardy was beating the dog biscuits out of this fat white dude, okay? You know he fights in the heavyweight division, of course, because he was once a defensive end in the NFL. He had a domestic violence situation, recurring domestic violence situations, let me be honest. He was a former Dallas Cowboys player. That's why I followed him as well as I did, but he was mainly known for making the Pro Bowl as a Carolina Panthers player. So I gave you guys the background for the most part on Greg Hardy if you didn't already know that much, okay? Now, he's coming into UFC with a bad reputation, but the great thing about being a prize fighter is it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, because once you get in that ring and you start entertaining people with how you beat another man's ass, they'll start not giving a fuck of how you are at home, okay? And I think Greg Hardy has great potential to be a good heavyweight. Now, do I think he's gonna be somebody that will eventually whoop like Daniel Cormier? It sounds like he's gonna retire this year, so I don't think Daniel Cormier will ever get to fight him. But do I think he'll be a guy that'll rise up the ranks and win the title? No, and that's mainly because I don't think Dana White wants him to win the title. I think Dana White just wants him on their ESPN network to essentially get ratings because he knows he's polarizing, right? So what better way to get your money than to have a guy like Greg Hardy? But see, my problem with this is you pimp out this black man. You know he has a bad reputation, but you use that. I mean, let's be real. You signed him because of his bad reputation, because you don't really give a fuck about your fighters being good people. Hell, Conor McGregor has said several racist things in the past. No one checks him for it. He gets his ass beat. Oh, be nice to Conor. He's marketing. You know, I wonder if a black fighter during the buildup of a fight could do some racist shit. You know what? We do have an example of this. We do. Bernard Hopkins, B-Hop, before he fought Joe Calzaghe, he actually said, I would never let a white boy beat me. And there were people that held it against him forever, calling him a racist. And all he said was, I ain't gonna let a white boy beat me. He didn't speak of the same type of rhetoric that Conor McGregor uses, okay? Conor McGregor, he calls you a dog. He calls you a monkey. He calls you a lot of things, okay? So I just want to drill that point home. You know, so we have had examples of black prize fighters saying things that was a bit racy, that could be taken out of context as racist, and we've had fans hold them accountable for it forever. And you know how Joe Calzaghe fans are, okay? They hold him up on a pedestal because he was a great white hope who was undefeated, and towards the end of his career, he managed to beat B-Hop and Floyd back-to-back. I mean, not Floyd, my apologies, Roy Jones Jr. So people tend to overrate this guy's talent. But when Roy Jones was in his prime, Calzaghe didn't want none of that smoke. So I look at Calzaghe as the white Floyd Mayweather in a way, you know? But white folks don't call Calzaghe, they don't look at him as a guy who ducked people. They look at him as the guy everyone ducked. So that's just another example of the racial double standard. But let's get back into MMA and UFC, because we're going to talk about that boxing in a second, okay? So I pretty much painted the picture for y'all really well. And by the way, I hope you all enjoyed the Choose Your Destiny theme song. You feel me? I wrote that shit in like an hour, you know, but I wanted to give y'all a different flow for this one, get y'all real excited. You know what I'm saying? When y'all wait a while, I try to give y'all something worth waiting for. You feel it, dig me? But as you can tell, my schedule was very loaded up. Now, let's continue. The fat white guy who was fighting Greg Hardy, okay? He was doing a lot of taunting of Greg Hardy because he knew he was losing the fight. Greg Hardy was just pot-shotting him, beating this dude's ass, okay? Which made the white dude resort to showboating, resort to taunting. And if anyone has seen this fight, if you haven't, go on YouTube and look up this fight. It's the Greg Hardy fight that he was disqualified for. That's all you got to type in. Greg Hardy DQ. Greg Hardy disqualification UFC. Something like that. Greg Hardy DQ UFC. Anyway, if you look up this video, you will clearly, if you just watch the entire fight, you will clearly see that this white dude was acting like he wanted all the smoke from Greg Hardy. But also, let's take into account, this white dude was a nobody, and the only reason why the people in the crowd were rooting for him was because they all hated Hardy, okay? So this dude was almost feeling gassed by the support of the fans, so he was dealing with the inner conflict of knowing, I'm getting my ass beat, but I am the one everyone's rooting for. So what does that cause? Frustration, ladies and gentlemen, which leads to you taunting, because now you're trying to change the fight to match your skill set, because if you fight legit, if you fight with some class, if you fight with some honor, you will get the brakes beat off your bitch ass. And that's exactly what happened in this fight. You know, he basically realized he had no chance to win, so he resorted to taunting to gain some more support from the fans, okay? Now let me ask y'all this question. If a black prize fighter began taunting a white prize fighter, and let's say the black fighter was even a fan favorite, which never happens, because we got great fighters like my brother Tyron Woodley, for instance. Great fighter, but Dana White can't stand him because he's too good, and he has no one at the welterweight division that can check him. They have this great white hope. He's such a great white hope, they nicknamed him the Wonder Boy. I think his name is Stephen Thompson, okay? This dude is one of the biggest great white hopes. Tyron Woodley beat the brakes off his ass, okay? Now, the first fight, it was really close. Tyron Woodley pulled it out off points, okay? He outpointed him. Second fight, he just beat Stephen Thompson's ass, okay? Now, mind you, Stephen Thompson, one of them dudes that's extra tall, but he extra skinny, because he don't want to be in the weight division with people his height, because he ain't really got no power like that. So what does he do? He kind of weight bullies people. You know, the same thing that people criticize black boxers for, weight bullying, where you're essentially really a natural middleweight, but you cut extra weight to get down to welterweight. That way your power is more integral in the fight. It's more, your power is more felt at a lower weight class. That's essentially who Stephen Thompson Wonderboy is. So much so people want him to move up to middleweight because they know he can't check Woodley, okay? So I'm only providing this context to show you, if the black fighter is great with no bad reputation outside of the octagon, people still will find a way to hate you. So let's continue. So the dude starts showboating. He wants the fan support. Hardy turns it up, and then the dude starts ducking to avoid his punches, right? Eventually, the dude ducked so much to avoid these punches, he set himself up to get kneed in the fucking face. Now, in my opinion, once you start taunting, everything after that should be legal, okay? That's just my opinion. Now, I'm not no big street nigga. I'm not no big gangster. But at the end of the day, if me and you are fighting and you start taunting me, I'ma use everything in my arsenal to sleep you now. Because obviously, you don't want to just take this loss like a man, okay? So essentially, the dude ducks, he gets kneed by Greg Hardy, gets knocked the fuck out. The referee disqualifies Greg Hardy, essentially, because basically they gave this white dude, the same white dude with all that energy that wanted to taunt, they gave him time to get himself together, and they said, if he can't go anymore, then you're disqualified, Greg Hardy, and he wins. Now, what incentive does this pussy-ass white dude who's been getting his ass beat have to stand back up and fight? What incentive does he have? You gave him a get-out-of-jail-free card by telling him, hey, if you don't get back up, you win. So what does this white dude do after taunting? He decides, I can't fight anymore, because he's a bitch. Then he walks out the ring and has a whole bunch of people escort him out like he's dizzy. Man, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. I grew up around white dudes, and I know white dudes can take a knee to the face. I'm just gonna put it like that, okay? The amount of heavy metal they listen to, and I'm not trying to generalize all white dudes, but if this dude was the type of guy to get his ass beat and then start taunting, he clearly was trying to go for the Hey Arnold approach. You know the episode of Hey Arnold when he had to fight Harold? So he had to act crazy, start bashing his head against shit to make Harold go, whoa, nigga, you a little too crazy. I ain't finna fight you, bruh. Like, this crazy. You feel me? That's what this white dude tried to pull. Greg Hardy got crazy to match his crazy, slapped his ass, got DQ'd for it, okay? So that's what really pisses me off, y'all. You know, the fact that the referee said out loud, if he can't continue, he will win, you know. And this same pussy who taunted 30 seconds prior now doesn't have the strength to even speak for himself. He don't even want to say a word, right? You know, so this is clearly white privilege, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot stress this enough. Go watch this Greg Hardy fight. If y'all have not seen this, this is essentially white privilege in UFC, man. A dude can taunt his ass off, get slept, and then you get DQ'd for matching his energy. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? But then if you watch a John Bones Jones fight, he needs niggas in the face all the time, and it's not a DQ. So my question is, did Greg Hardy just get DQ'd because of his reputation? And I'm gonna bring up how, for other people, it's okay to do disqualifying moves. I'm gonna get in that in a second, but that's my point here. Cause see, this is what I'm saying. You know, this taunting double standard always happens in the UFC, but only white fighters are appreciated more for being cocky. Guys like John Jones are villainized for stuff like this. It's almost like John Jones, since everyone knows he's the fucking GOAT, everyone wants him to be humble. But when a white dude has no fucking talent, they admire his cockiness. It's like, huh? That's the fucking opposite. That's ass backwards. If you're talented, you deserve to be cocky because you can you can walk it like you talk it. If you ain't talented, you just talking shit, then you just selling wolf tickets, okay? You know, but the real reason why I believe Greg Hardy will be okay is because John Jones also has a DQ on his record. So a lot of people don't know this. John Jones did get disqualified. That's the only loss on his record. It was a DQ, ladies and gentlemen. So John Jones has never lost a fight. He's only beat himself in a fight, technically, okay? And I'd love to go back and watch how he got disqualified from that one, because I'm willing to bet it was for a similar knee, probably, judging by how John Jones fights. It was either an elbow that was illegal or a knee, knowing his game. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so none of these guys want to fight him. Oh shit, my fault. Yeah. None of these guys want to fight him. All they want to do is wrestle because they scared of this dude Greg Hardy's power, okay? But Hardy showed he can defend submissions in this fight. If anybody watched this fight carefully, this white dude kept trying to take him to the ground. Greg Hardy, even though he took him to the ground a couple of times, Greg Hardy stayed composed, he stayed calm, and he fought through it. And then when he got back on his feet, he kept working him. And see, that shows me this dude can actually rise up the ranks a bit. Okay, now I'm not saying this dude is gonna be a world beater, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to stand on the opposite side of an octagon from this motherfucker. The way he be looking at people, he ready to kill you, okay? But so at the end of the day, because he can defend sprawls, this should help his striking game only get better in the future. I truly believe he won that fight. But then, ladies and gentlemen, this is the dichotomy. This is the hypocrisy of UFC. A couple of weeks later, though, there's this Brazilian guy named Johnny Walker, okay? Now, if you've never seen this guy, Johnny Walker, this dude walks to the ring doing some of the most moist dancing I think I've ever seen. Now, allegedly, this dude was a male stripper in Brazil turned mixed martial artist. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if they're creating an excuse for these dance moves. I don't know what it is. But he does a great job of psyching people out on his way to the octagon by doing these dance moves, because you look at him and go, this nigga gay. So you naturally think, oh, he ain't about that life. Then you get in the ring with him, he hit you with a spinning fucking roundhouse kick, and now you slept. And you like, huh? And before you know it, you don't know what happened, okay? And that's essentially what happened in this Johnny Walker fight, okay? So essentially he does like a spinning kick and he does an elbow. It knocks the guy to the ground, but as the guy is trying to get back up, he's on his back, he's trying to get back up, Johnny Walker runs up on him, and then he uses an illegal kick to this dude's face, and he tries to essentially kick him in the face as he's coming up. Now, this was illegal, but because Johnny Walker missed the kick, the media doesn't even talk about it. They're like, oh, well, who cares? It was an illegal kick, but at the end of the day, it didn't connect, so why should we care? Let's give him credit. He's an up and rising star. You see how they changed the narrative? Now, let me ask y'all this. If Greg Hardy would have sent that knee and it would have missed, do you honestly believe people would have gave him the benefit of the doubt anyway? No. And that's the difference, y'all. That's what pisses me off the most, man. The way they selectively dick ride people for the same thing, you know? And then the media, they didn't even mention the intent of the kick. For someone to even attempt that kick shows that they got a little bit of dirtiness in them. But I'm listening to all these podcasts. I'm listening to Brendan Schaub. I'm listening to Joe Rogan. All these dudes are talking like, well, at the end of the day, he made a mistake. He was just excited. Like, what? So you mean to tell me this nigga showboating and he's taunting Greg Hardy, and you mean to tell me Greg Hardy didn't get excited too? Come on, man. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this shows all of us that they will protect people in the UFC for dirty tactics if they feel like it. But isn't it interesting how ESPN clearly wanted Hardy for his polarizing reputation on their platform for ratings, but won't even have his back after they make money off of his back? This is how most black fighters are mistreated in the UFC. And let's be real, this guy Johnny Walker, he is going to pop off. He is going to become a huge name because he sounds like a white man, but he basically looks like a black dude from Brazil. But with a name like Johnny Walker, people are going to want to support him. And people have already mentioned it. Man, he could get a Johnny Walker sponsor. You feel me? You know, the whiskey company and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, they're already setting it up for this guy to be that next guy. You feel me? So favoritism's a motherfucker, man. It's a motherfucker. You know? It's for real. This is why Conor McGregor hasn't fought Ben Askren. Because at the end of the day, homeboy, Dana White, he don't want Conor to get in the ring with a dude like Ben Askren. He gonna lose in 30 seconds. For real. For real. It's gonna be like a Maya fight. He gonna get his back so quick, it's over, boy. Rear naked choke, put him to sleep, coach. Now, let's continue. Another example of racism in the UFC, ladies and gentlemen, is Francis Ngannou versus Cain Velasquez, which just happened on ESPN. Did any of y'all manage to peep this? The reason why this shit is racist is because of the Mexican fan base, okay? Now, to give y'all some backstory, Cain Velasquez, he was the first ever Mexican heavyweight in UFC history. So naturally, because he broke down barriers, people dick ride him past his prime like he's Ali or some shit for Mexico. And I'm not gonna downplay that, because usually Mexican dudes, they ain't really that big to compete at heavyweight. So I get why he is such a huge fan favorite, okay? I'm not shitting on Cain Velasquez from that perspective. I respect his history, I respect his CV, I respect his resume. But, okay? Let's be real, Mexican fans, whether it's mixed martial arts or boxing, they're often predominantly anti-black, okay? They usually hate black fighters. Why? Because black prize fighters usually end their great Mexican hopes' reigns, okay? When you really break it down, Floyd whooped Canelo's ass, right? But they got a built-in excuse. Canelo was so young, you know, but you notice Canelo ain't fought another black guy since. Now, it sounds like he's gonna fight Danny Jacobs, but at the end of the day, though, Canelo's been ducking a lot of black dudes, okay? He's been ducking Danny Jacobs for damn near 2 years. Hell, didn't Canelo get exposed, allegedly, for doing PEDs, and he had to give up the belt, which led to him not fighting Danny Jacobs once upon a time? Like, I think he had a 168 belt that he just gave up, too. So, I don't know. But that's why I'm gonna say allegedly, because I'm not 100% sure with that. But let's get back to this Cain Velasquez, Francis Ngannou shit. Because to give you guys the optics, Francis Ngannou is a Senegalese brother, cock diesel, swole, okay? Doesn't speak English very well, but he's a fantastic fighter. And he looks like one of those fighters that clearly could carry the torch for the heavyweight division if John Jones doesn't move up weight classes, okay? He looks like he's got it all. He's got the look, he's got the style, he's got the remarkable finishing ability to knock you out in the first round, and that's exactly what he did to Cain Velasquez. If y'all haven't seen this fight, I strongly advise you to watch the 26 seconds of the fight before I cover this any further, because this will make a lot more sense. And also watch the post-match interview with Cain Velasquez too, because this motherfucker had excuses. He had excuses for why he took a 26-second L. Now I'm thinking, Cain Velasquez, the guy who beat Brock Lesnar, like, this guy, surely he wouldn't be the guy to use excuses. Surely this guy would have a certain level of respect for the man that beat him. He knows he's past his prime. He knows he had to do a lot of different surgeries to even get to this point. And at the beginning of this fight, Cain Velasquez wasn't even fighting like Cain Velasquez. You could tell he was bothered by Francis Ngannou's size, which led to him just doing spinning kicks all the time. That's not Cain Velasquez's game, ladies and gentlemen. Cain Velasquez's game is to overpower you, bring you to the ground, maybe wrestle you, but he will brawl it out with you. Cain Velasquez was not trying to brawl it out with Ngannou. Matter of fact, I don't think this motherfucker threw a single punch. I don't think he really threw a single punch. I know he didn't land one, but I don't even think he threw one. Now, I might be wrong, but I don't even think he threw one, yo. So basically, Francis Ngannou, Cain Velasquez throws like 3 different spinning kicks. Francis Ngannou comes through with an uppercut when he gets him in, when he gets up close and they start fighting inside. He hits him with a first uppercut and then he hits him with a second one. Now the second one made Cain Velasquez's knees buckle, which made him fall to the ground. Francis Ngannou finished him off. But then when the fight's over, Cain Velasquez is looking at the ref mad like it's an early stoppage. Then he's talking about, oh, well, my knee buckled. He didn't knock me out. My knee just buckled. Like, what kind of bullshit? And see, that's my problem. Why you gotta take away from what this brother did? This brother embarrassed you, my G. He embarrassed you. But by you saying your legs buckled before he uppercutted you, even though there's video evidence to provide proof that your ass got slept, you know, this is him trying to take away from what this brother did. And see, that's my problem. Because Cain Velasquez is feeding into the same systemic problem UFC has. The inner racism towards black fighters. He's feeding into it. And as a Mexican heavyweight champion, well, a former Mexican heavyweight champion, I would think he would have more respect for a black fighter over a white one, because he should know firsthand that the UFC pumps out these white fighters and they give them these title shots way quicker. He should know this, okay? So for him to take this L and then use excuses, I just wasn't a fan of that at all, man. I just wasn't a fan at all of this, man. And I think it took credibility away from Cain Velasquez and his fan base for them to even argue this. It makes them all look like casuals. You feel me? About 2 years ago, you could have called me a casual of MMA. I feel like I'm watching Bellator, I'm watching Pride, I'm watching Ryzen, I'm watching UFC, you know, Strike Force videos. Like, I'm watching hella shit these days, coach. You feel me? So I feel like I'm more in tune than the Cain Velasquez fans are with the damn sport. It's crazy, man. And see, all this does is take away from what Ngannou did. It's almost like when you beat somebody fair and square, but they say they let you win to make themselves feel better about the L. Shit's corny. It's time to hang it up, Cain. Once a fighter starts using excuses for losing, they ain't the same animal no more, and that's what's really real. And see, this brings me to my other problem with the UFC, okay? So for all of you that don't know, a legendary fight happened between the style bender, Israel Adesanya, who I have yet to cover on this podcast, and for great reason. I wanted a great fight to come up. That way I'd had reason to give this guy the clout he deserves, the credit he deserves. If you don't know, he had a legendary 3-round fight with the legend, the Spider, Anderson Silva. In my opinion, this fight was the Black Bruce Lee versus the Black Chuck Norris. Like, it was that technically sound of a fight. And see, this is everything I've been talking about the double standard in the UFC. It's gonna come home full circle with this argument, because here, you've got a fight every MMA fan should love. You've got a legend versus his heir apparent. You've got 2 fighters who both have skill sets that are pretty much unmatched for their weight class in the history of the sport. So much so that one is considered the torchbearer for the other one to move forward with. Not only that, you also got Anderson Silva returning after a long hiatus. Many people thought he would retire after his leg injury. I believe he came back and had one other fight besides this one. I could be wrong. But for the most part, people thought he was all but retired, okay? Now, from what Anderson Silva was talking about before this fight, he was talking that hot shit as if he beat Israel Adesanya, he was promised by Dana that he would get a title shot. But let me go ahead and tell y'all the realness behind that. There's no way Dana would give him a title shot when Dana was the one who went out of his way to shit on, what company? I believe that was Bellator. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe this was Bellator. Let me do the research. But what happened was Tito Ortiz fought Chuck Liddell recently in a fight, and both of them are way past their primes, but Tito Ortiz beat the brakes off Chuck Liddell, and rightfully so. Chuck Liddell was on Celebrity Big Brother Season 1, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't have all of his faculties anymore. Now, he's still Chuck Liddell, but he clearly is punch drunk, if you get where I'm coming from. He clearly, you know what I'm saying, has taken too much of a beating over time. So this man should have never been back in an octagon. But they agreed to doing this fight, and Golden Boy Promotions was the one who put it together. And they ended up fighting each other. Now, I believe all of this happened at Bellator, but it sounds like it was no, this wasn't Bellator. This was a Golden Boy Promotion MMA card. So this wasn't even Bellator. My apologies, Bellator. Let me omit that. Bellator had nothing to do with this fight. But the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is Dana White was the one who criticized Golden Boy specifically. And more specifically, he criticized Oscar De La Hoya, who runs Golden Boy, because he looks at Oscar De La Hoya as a cokehead. Okay? That's what he calls him. He's like, he's just a fucking cokehead. Okay? And he thinks Oscar De La Hoya is using Chuck Liddell's brand and using him as a man and as a human being, but he's putting him in harm's way because he can't truly defend himself. And if you go back and watch that Tito Ortiz fight, Dana White actually has a point. But Dana White is also the same promoter who has been underpaying guys like Chuck Liddell, and that's the reason why Chuck Liddell had to do this fight, to get a little bit of money off of Oscar De La Hoya. So even though Dana White would love to position himself as some guy who would never fight a fighter past his prime, he clearly did so with Anderson Silva here. And if he did promise Anderson Silva a title shot if he beat Israel Adesanya, isn't that no different than what Oscar De La Hoya did with Chuck Liddell? I'd argue that. Now, granted, Chuck Liddell is much older now than Anderson Silva is currently, but they're still in the same age group, and they're still legends of the game. And at the end of the day, Chuck Liddell fought another old guy, whereas Dana, you allowed Anderson Silva to fight a young bull in his prime. So at the end of the day, Dana, you're looking like a bit of a hypocrite here for criticizing Golden Boy, but then allowing Anderson Silva to get in the ring with Israel Adesanya. Okay, so you're a hypocrite there, Dana. You're a real hypocrite. Because clearly you don't give a fuck about how all fighters feel as old fighters. You only give a fuck about the white ones that you befriended. And see, this goes back to my point about how black fighters in the UFC don't get the same treatment. Because there was none of this outrage for Anderson Silva outside of the fact that people were actually mad at the fight itself. And see, this is my problem with the fan base. All the black fans, we love that fight. Because we know when it's two good fighters sizing each other up, trying not to take too many risks. Like, in that fight, if you really break it down, there was such a mental edge, well, not edge, there was such a huge mental aspect to that fight that went over so many people's heads. Because in the build-up to the fight, you had Anderson Silva crying, trying to play mind games with Israel Adesanya, even brought Israel Adesanya to tears during the weigh-in, okay? So he was playing games with Israel Adesanya, the same type of games Israel Adesanya usually plays with his opponent, which is why he is considered the heir apparent. But my point is, we got a standard, legitimate main event fight that wasn't even supposed to be a main event fight, but the real middleweight champion, Robert Whittaker, this guy who's always injured, he had to have a last-minute surgery for, I believe it was a hernia in his abdomen, okay? So because of that, you didn't get to see the fight with him and Kevin Gastelum. And Kevin Gastelum, he got his name from the Ultimate Fighter series and stuff like that or whatever. But now after this fight Israel Adesanya just had with Anderson Silva, now he will have an interim fight with Kevin Gastelum for the belt, and that will come up soon. But let's get back to the Anderson Silva Israel Adesanya aspect of this, because both of them had to step up and fill into a main event card. They didn't think they would have to be the main event, so they had all of the added pressure of that. And you know how it is for black fighters. When black fighters fight each other, they want us to beat the dog shit out of each other because we beat the dog shit out of whoever this fan is favorite fighter. So they would love nothing more than to see a Mandingo fight. You feel what I'm saying? Two black dudes just brawling. But see, these are intelligent black fighters. They're not gonna just brawl with no substance, with no method to their madness, right? They're going for the win, but they're going for the win assessing the risks, okay? And see, that's my problem. The casual fan, they watch that fight and go, this is boring, because they're not seeing any knockouts. But y'all didn't see no submissions either. Y'all saw two guys stand up and scrap it out. That's what y'all saw. And see, my problem is, you know, people almost speak on Israel Adesanya as if because he didn't like utterly obliterate Anderson Silva, he somehow is this overhyped kid. When that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, in that fight, he proved to me he is the real deal. I was unsure of this kid until I saw that shit. Now I know for a fact, oh yeah, he's the one. He's Neo. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I had to see him versus someone with some legit experience that can make him uncomfortable. Now that I see Israel Adesanya is just calm and composed no matter who's in front of him, you're going to have a problem. At that size, at that height, at that weight class, you're going to have a problem. you're going to have a problem. And see, Anderson Silva was one of the few guys that was around the same height and build as this dude, Israel Adesanya. Everyone else is going to be 3 inches shorter than him, at least. He's going to start John Bones Jones and niggas. I'm being honest with y'all. But see, that's my problem. It's almost as if these people who are complaining over Israel Adesanya's performance, it's almost as if they wanted Anderson Silva to get killed out there. It's like, how dare you allow Anderson Silva to walk out of that octagon with everything intact? How dare you go all 3 rounds with him? Like, what the fuck? He was supposed to kill his idol? What kind of bullshit is this? And see, you're only hearing these complaints from people that aren't black. And these were the same people who complained about Chuck Liddell being in the ring during that Golden Boy promotion when he got the brakes beat off his ass past his prime. So understand, these same people, they get angry and outraged when a white man gets the brakes beat off his ass by someone in his own age group. But then they demand an older black man get killed by a younger black man in a younger age group in his physical prime. You see where I'm getting at here? People are full of shit, ladies and gentlemen. And it's also not lost on me that Tito Ortiz also can pass for black and Latino. I mean, most people consider him an Afro-Latino male. So for these people to be outraged by Chuck Liddell getting the brakes beat off of him by his rival, who he's beaten twice previously, who wanted to even the score, only further shows that they hate black fighters no matter what. Because these same people should have given Tito his credit for his win then, and these are the same people taking away from Francis Ngannou's win now. Just because Chuck Liddell beat the dog shit out of Randy Couture does not mean that this brother gotta beat the dog shit out of his idol. And see, that's my thing. There's other ways to win in the MMA. And see, this was always supposed to be a passing of the torch fight. This wasn't supposed to be him killing somebody in the ring. But see, this is what fans that aren't black want us to do to each other. You get where I'm coming at? But then when you have a black fighter beat Cain Velasquez's ass, all we get is excuses for why the dude lost to the black man. We don't get the same people who complain about this fight not having enough action. We don't get them celebrating the black man bringing the action to Cain Velasquez. We get them creating excuses for the action existing. So understand, no matter what, these fans are hedging. They are hedging. No matter what we do, they hate it. And another reason why I brought up Israel Adesanya is because he's probably the only black dude in UFC currently that is getting some sort of a push right now from Dana. And that is very rare to see. Very rare to see. And after he had Dana's back and did that main event when 2 of the other fighters couldn't, and then you got the whole situation with Kevin Gastelum, he starts rocking Henry Cejudo's fucking, what was that, a lightweight belt? No, that was the featherweight belt. No, it wasn't the featherweight. It was the flyweight belt. He starts rocking Henry Cejudo's flyweight belt, acting like, oh, I should be the champion because we did the weigh-in and then he pulled out. And my history in wrestling, if you make the weight but then aren't here for the fight, then I should automatically be granted the win, meaning I should be the champion. So Kevin Gastelum tried to change the narrative, but wasn't no one buying that bullshit because he didn't fight that night. Plus, he had a whole bunch of staph infection all over his fucking chin, made the nigga look like he just got done spending a night soliciting a prostitute. But that's neither here nor there. What's good, Patriots? And see, this brings me to another situation because the legend George St. Pierre retired and he was in talks to have a fight, which I believe was also supposed to be a legacy fight with Khabib. But judging by the way GSP just abruptly retired, it sounds like Dana White started to feel like he was being a hypocrite when he allowed Anderson Silva to fight Adesanya. So he didn't allow him to fight Khabib. But to further let the blinds open for a second, to let you all inside on what's really going on, the inside fastball, if you will, Dana White suspended Khabib because of Khabib's actions after he beat Conor McGregor. You know, when he jumped out of the octagon and started a fight with another guy. He suspended him for that. But here's the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. He was willing to shorten the suspension if Khabib did an anti-bullying campaign for the UFC. So that makes me ask the question, is Dana White conducting himself like Roger Goodell? Is he purposely highballing you? Is he purposely giving you the biggest suspension possible because he knows he can whip some bullshit out to shorten it? Is what he's offering you to do in order to shorten it, is that really your real sentence, but he just makes it bigger to force you to play the way he wants you to play? See, we gotta ask these questions. See, this is like a dictatorship, ladies and gentlemen. This is like a dictatorship. You feel me? And at the end of the day, I can't stress this enough. Conor McGregor had that smoke coming for throwing that fucking dolly into the damn bus. And people still don't want to talk about this, but Rose Namajunas hasn't even fought to this day because of it. Now, she's scheduled to fight again, and I've mentioned this before and I won't rehash it, but at the end of the day, Conor started shit with Khabib's entire family. Khabib clapped back, and now Khabib is suspended for coming at the Great White Hope. Basically, that's what's happening. So for them to come up to Khabib and say, hey, do this anti-bullying campaign for us, as if Khabib was ever the bully in this situation. Anyone who agrees to doing that is like taking a plea deal. You're admitting that you were wrong. I don't believe Khabib was wrong, and that's why Khabib didn't do that dumb shit, okay? And at the end of the day, Khabib has all the leverage. He's the last person that beat Conor. People want to see Khabib fight. Hell, I've even heard Khabib was thinking about fighting Mayweather. I heard Khabib was thinking about fighting that dude over there in Ryzen that Floyd fought. Now I'm hearing some shit about Gervonta Davis possibly fighting that motherfucker for some bread. I don't know who to believe. But at the end of the day, though, I'm just bringing this up because GSP retired on a dime this Friday out of nowhere, ladies and gentlemen, out of nowhere. It caught all of us by surprise because we all thought he had at least one more fight in him. But the way he was talking to what's homeboy? Hold on, let me make sure I get his name right. The way he was talking to hold up, give me 1 second. His name is Ariel Helwani. Shout outs to that brother Ariel Helwani, because I think he's a great journalist, and I believe he's from Canada. Probably the best journalist the UFC has ever had, by the way. But Ariel Helwani was the one who interviewed GSP, and I want to give ESPN some credit because ever since they took over for UFC, I swear the highlights on YouTube have become way better quality because they're the ones posting them. You know, it's not a problem where, oh, well, UFC was on Fox and Fox doesn't really have a big YouTube channel and we can't allow this to get on YouTube, so people are out here zooming in extra to show fight highlights and it looks choppy, looks like 360p and all this dumb shit. Like, I'm just glad we're getting good quality fights now on YouTube that we can rewatch, But yeah, so let me get back to my point here. So essentially, Khabib, he got suspended, which means he had to be stripped of his lightweight championship. The same lightweight championship, if he would have did the anti-bullying shit, he probably doesn't get stripped of, and then he probably fights GSP in a legacy fight. But isn't it interesting how GSP doesn't get this fight, almost like Dana, once again, goes out of his way to protect the white fighter from getting embarrassed. But he didn't mind Anderson Silva getting embarrassed. You see where I'm getting at here, okay? And see, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we all wanted to see that fight. Why? Because GSP is a specialist when it comes to what? The ground game. What is Khabib? A specialist when it comes to the ground game. We thought it would have been a great style clash in the same way that Israel Adesanya versus Anderson Silva was a legacy fight of a passing a torch, if you will. A lot of people believe GSP versus Khabib would have been the same exact fight. But isn't it interesting how we can't get that fight with an old white fighter, but with an old black fighter, we can find a way, okay? I want to drive this point home. Dana White is showing us his true colors in a real subtle way, and I don't even think he knows that we're noticing it, okay? So anyway, yeah, so Khabib, he gets his lightweight title suspended, and he's stripped of it, which leads to an interim title fight that has been scheduled as of today. It has been scheduled, and it will be between Max Holloway, the featherweight champion, who shouldn't have any clout or any contending or have any #1 contender spot ready for the lightweight title. I mean, he's from featherweight. He shouldn't be able to contend immediately for a title at lightweight. And see, this is why a lot of people are pissed, because my brother Tony, is his name Tony Jefferson? No, that's not his name, is it? Tony, hold on. Let me get his name right. Tony Ferguson, my bad, Tony Ferguson, T-Ferg, my brother T-Ferg. Tony Ferguson has fought everybody. He's beaten everyone. Hell, he was the last interim lightweight champion, but he didn't get to fight Khabib at all. He had to fight Kevin Smith, or Kevin Lee, I mean. He had to fight El Cucuy, he had to fight Kevin Lee. Okay, he beats Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee had staff in that fight, but it was a great fight. They fought each other to the death. Motherfuckers was bleeding and shit. It was a good-ass fight. He wins that fight. Then he gets stripped of his interim belt again. And I believe he got stripped of his belt again for Conor and Khabib to fight. Now, I might be wrong with that, but at the end of the day, Tony Ferguson gets shitted on by Dana White over and over because Tony Ferguson is another guy that would beat the brakes off of Conor. And this is a guy a lot of people are thinking Conor might fight now because right now Max Holloway is scheduled to fight Diamond Dustin Poirier for the interim lightweight belt. Meaning, who the hell does Conor fight? There's no one else to fight. Because a lot of people thought Diamond Dustin Poirier would fight Conor, but no one wanted to see that. Now, it's either between Cowboy Cerrone right now and Tony Ferguson. That's what my sources are telling me. I think Conor is more likely to choose Cowboy Cerrone. Not that Cowboy Cerrone is some easy choice or nothing, but I just don't think he wants that Tony Ferguson smoke. But I mentioned all of this basically because I was talking about the GSP retirement. And I think GSP retired because, number one, he knows that Dana, at the end of the day, Dana don't want to give no title shots to no old people because if they somehow pull off the victory, Dana knows he's not going to be able to rely on these older guys to defend the belts. Because these guys are going to be kind of like Brock Lesnar is to the WWE. They're going to be kind of like part-timers, right? So they're not doing it as much as all the rest of the people working there. They're showing up just for big events and stuff, but they're getting the majority of the cash from showing up as well. And that's another problem the WWE has. Because in the more and more research that I do on the UFC and MMA with their lack of support for black fighters, I come to find out that, damn, ain't it crazy that besides The Rock, there is no black heavyweight champion that was in the WWE? Because think about it, Roman Reigns isn't technically considered black. Anyone that is Pacific Islander, anyone that is Pacific Islander, anyone who is Samoan, they aren't considered black, and that's why in wrestling they allow them to win the belt. But all these other dudes who are clearly black, like Mark Henry or Farouk or Bobby Lashley, guys like that, you notice they never win the big title. Never. In fact, they'll allow John Cena's cultural appropriating ass, and I'll admit it, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I used to think his little rap battle shits were funny, but that's before I became conscious and started to understand this motherfucker's making a mockery out of our culture doing this dumb shit. Okay? And mind you, they would never let a black guy be a wrestler and do that shit, but John Cena doing it, it becomes a gimmick and it somehow becomes cute and funny. Fuck out of here. But see, that's my point. Conor McGregor is essentially the John Cena of the UFC. He's allowed to talk that hot shit, do whatever the fuck he wants, never has to back up any of the bullshit that comes out of his mouth. The minute someone brings some smoke his way in retaliation to the shit that comes out of his mouth, people go, leave him alone. And that's my problem, 100%. So I just wanted to mention this part right here to dedicate to GSP, because GSP was one of the few guys. Before I knew anything about UFC, I knew GSP was the guy. If my friend chose him in UFC Undisputed, I was taking an L. So I just wanted to give GSP some credit before we move on. If you are somebody that claims to love this sport and you don't appreciate the Israel Adesanya Anderson Silva fight, then you are showing all of us that you have a certain level of racism. Because that was one of the best fights I have ever seen. One of the best fights I've ever seen. Okay? And see, that's the thing. Like, whenever it's two brothers, we never get two brothers as a main event. You see where I'm getting at this? So it was almost like, because Robert Whittaker pulled out in his hometown of New Zealand, right? Because he pulled out the way he did, because Kevin Gastelum couldn't fight, because everyone had to rely on this main event that should have been the co-main event, now they get center stage. Now everyone's expectations go through the roof on what this fight needs to be now. But there was no belt on the line. It didn't even go 5 rounds. For 3 rounds, that fight was amazing. So So all I'm saying is if you had a problem with that fight in the slightest, then you have a problem with actual skill in the octagon. That's your problem. And you have a problem with said skill coming from a black body. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. Because if we would have got the Henry Cejudo TJ Dillashaw fight, and if it would have been just like that one, y'all would have loved that shit. Y'all would have loved that shit. Y'all wouldn't have said, hey, come on, man, I want to see more blood. I mean, what else do you fucking want? All of the damn kick feints? I mean, dudes was dodging each other. Like they coined a new phrase for Israel Adesanya's feint kick. They call it the question kick. Like, that shit's cold. When he just puts his knee out there and he makes it look like he gonna roundhouse you and then he just drops it and hits you with the jab. Like, bro, that level of skill, dog. Listen. I respect. Why do y'all think I opened this up by saying this was the black Bruce Lee versus the black Chuck Norris? And see, y'all love overrating Chuck Norris in the white community. Y'all love overrating his skill. You know, Chuck Norris almost gets more credit than the IP man does. And the IP man, the one who taught Bruce Lee. You feel what I'm saying? But see, that's my point. White people, they hoist up other white people all the time. The minute black people hoist up other black people, you're keeping racism alive. That's the shit I can't stand. That's the shit I can't stand. We deal with that in the Big Brother community. We did that in the sports community. You know, anytime a black person roots for a black person, automatically everyone wants to twist it on them like, oh, you're not being fair to the other people. Well, how many times does your Mexican ass root for John Bones Jones? Be honest. How much does your white ass root for Tyron Woodley? Be honest. You know? And Israel Adesanya is nothing like John Jones. He isn't no cheater. He isn't allegedly doing with these picograms and all this other shit. He isn't involved with none of that extra shit. But y'all still find a way to nitpick his game. So it just goes to show, a black fighter has to be perfect. And even then, if he's American, you'll hate him. You see where I'm getting at? And Israel Adesanya, this man is an unapologetic Nigerian brother. So you know there's a certain level of hate that comes to him just for knowing his history, knowing his roots. People hate brothers like that even more because they love you when you a confused American. They'll still root against you like you're Floyd in a fucking huge boxing match, but still, and then claim to be patriots after. You notice that? And see, Tariq Nasheed talks about this a lot. You know, people claim to be patriots, but whenever there's a black American fighter versus a fighter from anywhere else, white folks always root for that other fighter. But then after that, they say, how come y'all don't support our president? He's our president. You should support our president no matter what. It's always a double standard, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so at the end of the day, man, I just wanted to show some love to Adesanya and Anderson Silva. Adesanya will be competing for the interim belt against Kevin Gastelum, like I mentioned. That will be a great fight. Kevin Gastelum, he's like a brawler type. So he's going to bring the fight to Adesanya, but I think Adesanya's range and length will be what just stops Gastelum. I don't think Gastelum has a chance unless he basically stays up close and tries to fight inside, brings him down to the ground, and he tries to make it a real ugly fight. That's really the only way I could see this working out for him, you know. But yeah, so at the end of the day, that's how I feel. But see, that's my problem. Israel Adesanya, he's carrying the torch right now. You know, Tyron Woodley is treated like shit by Dana White. Israel Adesanya right now is being pushed by Dana White. But the question is, how far will Dana White allow Israel Adesanya to blow up? He'll never allow him to blow up harder than Conor did. He'll never allow that. Okay? And Israel Adesanya has legit skill. He has legit talent. The boy can dance. He's got like some Naruto avatar shit going for him before fights, which should make all of the younger crowd that's not into UFC, they should grow up with this guy and appreciate him a lot more because he's into the stuff we're into. And that's another reason why I appreciate him, because I grew up watching anime, so I get where he's coming from. And the fact that he can actually fight to back up the anime he loves, that's even cooler, because it proves just because we read comics don't mean we soft. I think he knocks down a lot of barriers, and I think he clicks a lot of boxes. And I think he's the all-around guy that UFC should put all of their money behind going into the future. Because John Jones, he's a bit unreliable because of the drug testing with USADA. But outside of that, though, John Bones is still the GOAT. And Israel Adesanya has the potential to eventually eclipse him as the GOAT. But only time will tell. So, but yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention, ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Mayweather with Gucci. See, man, Floyd, I used to support you all the fucking time, dog. I used to support you all the fucking time. But at a certain point, we gotta ask questions, bro. You from Michigan, you ain't putting no money towards helping Flint get clean water. You know Gucci doing this blackface shit, you still gonna go over there and buy some gear. Like at a certain point, Floyd, you know what, man? We just gotta charge your ass to the game because you a fucking coon too. And that's just what it is, man. You know? And at a certain point, we gotta all come to the agreement. The reason why they allow Floyd to be this rich of a black man is because they know he's dumb. They know he's allegedly illiterate. 50 Cent says he can't read or write. You know? So I'd probably guess that he learned everything he learned about doing promotions from Bob Arum. He learned all of it on some drumline Nick Cannon shit. Like, he literally was just memorizing the order of how things are handled, and then he just started assessing that into his business practices, and before you know it, he started getting that windfall towards the end. That's how I think he approached it, because if this brother can't truly read or write, then he has to have somebody that's reading these contracts for him to make sure he doesn't get dicked out of them. And I'm willing to bet you that's how Bob Arum allegedly schemed him out of as much money. It's probably because Floyd couldn't read or write and probably wasn't looking through his contracts well enough. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm not here to give Floyd any excuses for that bullshit. Floyd is officially charged to the damn game, coach. He's charged to the damn game. I won't support him no more. And honestly, Floyd, I think you need to retire, bro. Because if you fight Pacquiao again, it sounds like he's gonna fight Pacquiao again, ladies and gentlemen. If you fight Pacquiao again and that fight's at all any close, I'm telling you, man, black people ain't gonna root for you to stay undefeated no more, because you ain't doing shit. You feel me? You ain't doing shit for us. You ain't using your money and recycling it back into our community. You're using your money and putting it back into these white European communities. That's what you're doing. So all the money that you making from all of these fights, it's not going towards improving the lifestyles of future black boxers outside of maybe who? Gervonta Davis? You know? And see, that's the saddest part, Floyd. You got the money, power, and influence to do some shit, but something tells me you don't want to be that guy because you know you're not that guy. But you could still be the guy that hires that guy. I don't know, man. I just don't fuck with that bullshit. But at the end of the day, man, I guess it's the time to move over to boxing, right? Oh, no. I got another thing to discuss. Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw at the bantamweight division. Woo! Wait, what's that? No, that wasn't bantamweight. Bantamweight is Dillashaw. It's Dillashaw's weight. It's the one below that one. I don't think it's not strawweight. Yeah, hold on. Let me get my facts straight for a second, ladies and gentlemen. I've told y'all this season I'm going to look it up to make sure. Henry Cejudo, UFC champ. I just want to make sure I get the division right, because I know TJ Dillashaw's belt is the bantam. Okay, he is the... Give me 1 second. He's the flyweight champion. Okay. It's the flyweight. Okay. So, not strawweight. So, he's the flyweight champion. So, Henry Cejudo fought against TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw's a great fighter, but he had to drop down from his normal weight. I believe his normal weight is about 145. He had to drop down to like 135. I think that's what he dropped down to. Or maybe his normal weight's 140. He dropped down 130. It's something like that. But he's not used to dropping those extra 10 pounds. Now, according to TJ Dillashaw, he was on a fantastic diet and the weight cut wasn't that hard. But when the fight started, you could tell Henry Cejudo was strong, TJ Dillashaw was weak. And TJ Dillashaw basically got the brakes beat off of him, similar to how Cain Velasquez got the brakes beat off of him. But the difference is TJ Dillashaw at least has the honor. He at least has the respect of his opponent to say, hey man, I want a rematch. He won that fair and square. Now, he did complain about the early stoppage, and I think he had a point there, because it didn't feel like Cejudo was hitting him with shots that hurt. See, Cejudo isn't a type of guy who hits you hard. He's a wrestler. His punches are mainly to stagger you and slow you down. They're not really meant to sleep you. So I didn't really feel like, but I think Dillashaw losing that extra weight made Cejudo's power feel like more, which is why now they're in talks, I believe, to fight for TJ Dillashaw's bantamweight title. But the reason why this fight was so important, ladies and gentlemen, was because a lot of people believed that the UFC and Dana White, first off, they let Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson go, who was the greatest flyweight of all time, who lost to Henry Cejudo by decision. they let him go. And when they let him go, and I think they let him go to Bellator. I might be wrong, but I think they let him go to Bellator. But them letting him go the way they did, though, it made a lot of people grow suspicious that maybe they were trying to get rid of the flyweight division, and they had TJ Dillashaw fight against Henry Cejudo on purpose because they wanted Dillashaw to clean the division out to force everyone to push up to bantam. Because, to be honest with y'all, a lot of people don't really care about flyweights. They're a little too small, and even in boxing, the little guys don't really get the same respect as the bigger guys, right? Like, if you're a heavyweight boxing champion, you're looked at as the best fighter in the world because all those people under you don't want to fight you at that weight. You see what I'm saying? Now, granted, I'm sure if a heavyweight dropped down to like cruiserweight or light heavyweight, they wouldn't be as good either because they're giving up so much. And that's really the problem Daniel Cormier has. At heavyweight, he has enough power to fuck anybody up no matter how tall they are. You could be 6'5", 6'6". He's only like 5'11", 5'10" if you stretch him. He will sleep you. But if you put him in light heavyweight with shorter people, for whatever reason, when he's in better shape, he has much less power because he has stressed himself out with that weight cut. You feel what I'm saying? And I think TJ Dillashaw dealt with the same problem. So I truly believe, for the same reason that John Jones probably won't move up to heavyweight to fight against Daniel Cormier, even though I think he should. I think it would be great for John Jones to fight Cormier one more time. Even if you lose to Cormier at heavyweight, you still won the series 2-1. Who cares? But I think it would be interesting to see Cormier's chin at heavyweight, to see his power at heavyweight, to see if he can manhandle John at heavyweight. But we also have to take into account John is 6'4". If he gets an extra 30 pounds on him, that could be dangerous for DC even more so. Because if a leg kick at 205 knocks you out, can't a leg kick at 230, can't that damn near kill you? I'm just saying. But to get back to Cejudo and Dillashaw, it was a good fight. It was a little too fast. The same thing can be said about Ngannou, Cain Velasquez. But now they're supposed to be having a rematch now at bantamweight. And see, I think Cejudo is going to fuck around and lose that fight. I don't think Dillashaw loses at that weight. But I think Cejudo definitely has a puncher's chance just because psychologically he has the advantage. But yeah, so I just wanted to get my thoughts on that before I moved on over to boxing. I was just about to move over to boxing and I thought about that fight. So the next thing I would like to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, Tyson Fury signs with Top Rank Boxing. I'm not a fan of this move. Now, I'm not mad at nobody for getting their money. Get what you're owed, my brother. Get what you're owed. And Tyson Fury, you took the fight with Wilder that AJ was scared to take. So we respect you in America. And I think that's why he signed with ESPN instead of something that Anthony Joshua fucks with like Matchroom, which is more of a UK-based promoting company. And they work with DAZN and all this other stuff. I kind of respect it from Tyson Fury's perspective because he sees the money, right? But at the same time, I think Bob Arum, see, after doing some more research and finding out more about Bob Arum, now, allegedly, Bob Arum stole a lot of money from Floyd Money Mayweather, which led to Floyd, like, basically distancing himself from Top Rank, and then that's when the Mayweather promotions began, right? And so at the end of the day, I think Bob Arum taught Floyd everything he knows, but at the end of the day, he also allegedly took a lot of money off the top from Floyd's checks, and that's what led to Floyd becoming this huge enterprise because he realized, man, these promoters ain't shit. I need to do my own thing, and that's why he moved the way he did. But yeah, I truly respect Floyd, though. I respect Floyd. And if you remember, Bob Arum, you know, he worked with Pacquiao for a long time, but, you know, Pacquiao, he don't fuck with Top Rank like that no more. Mikey Garcia, the guy who was about to fight Errol Spence in March, he left Top Rank as well. So there's a lot of fighters that clearly feel like working at Top Rank, you won't get what you're worth. Right? Whereas a guy like Al Heyman, a black man who is a promoter, who is doing groundbreaking things. And see, what I'm pissed off about is Al Heyman, we don't talk about this brother enough during Black History Month. This is a black man that somehow started his own promoting company and has over 200 different boxers in PBC. If you don't know what PBC is I think it stands for Premier Boxing Championships, and that's what you see on Fox these days, where you see the free boxing matches on Fox. That's PBC, okay? The Charlos, remember the Charlo fight versus Harrison? That was PBC, okay? So this guy has about 200 fighters. Now, I don't know how many fighters Bob Arum has, but Bob Arum's one of them guys, he really just shows favoritism to the cash cows on his Top Rank, and then the people underneath, the bottom feeders, they don't get shit. Whereas at PBC, you can actually see that all of these other guys, even though they're not huge names, they still getting money though. You feel me? And that's the difference to me, personally. But let's get back to Tyson Fury, though, because that was my whole point for trying to give Al Heyman his credit, because Bob Arum doesn't like Al Heyman. And if you guys paid attention to the Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford situation where they confronted each other and tried to set up a fight and stuff like that, you know, after watching that a second time, Terrence Crawford didn't come off really well to me. First off, he had like 4 or 5 cheerleaders behind him defending him. Errol Spence is basically by himself, talking to all of them niggas at the same time. That let me know Errol Spence is a real one, number one. Number two, at the end of the day, Errol Spence, he was like, him and Terrell Crawford, they was talking shit. Terrence Crawford was like, oh, my trainer better than yours. So then Errol Spence says some shit like, all right, how about your trainer fight mine? Now, if y'all don't know, Terrence Crawford's trainer is a fat dude. You feel me? And Errol Spence's trainer, he's a dude in great shape. He also trains the Charlo brothers and stuff. You know, they train together, all of them guys. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I found it to be very interesting how once the conversation shifted towards, hey, how about our trainers fight each other? All of a sudden, Terrence Crawford went from, yeah, let's do that, to coming to his senses and going, nah, man, nah, I'm cool on that. Because he knew his trainer would have got his ass beat, okay? And if your trainer get his ass beat, that looks bad on you. But see, the thing that I want to drill home before I get back to Tyson Fury is Bob Arum went out of his way to tell Errol Spence to his face that he doesn't have Al Heyman's number. That's a blatant lie. Every huge promotion company knows how to contact other promotions. Now, fights usually don't get made because of conflict of interest and because the money usually is never 50-50 because of A sides and B sides. And this is why there is some animosity between Bob Arum and Al Heyman. Bob Arum looks at Al Heyman as the guy who took his monopoly away from him. I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. Before Al Heyman came through, ESPN and Bob Arum ran shit in boxing for years. Don King was with Bob Arum. So understand, that's how long they go back, y'all, since like the 60s. So you got this brother, Al Heyman, coming through, and you know he probably had to jump through way more hoops to get to where he got to, and you can't even put a face to Al Heyman. No one even knows how Al Heyman looks, and that's what makes him such a savvy businessman, and that's why I look up to this brother after doing some research on him. So we need to show Al Heyman some more respect. But I mentioned all of this to basically show you all that Bob Arum, he's one of them guys where, at the end of the day, if you're competition, he hates on you. Like I can't put it no simpler than that. He just kind of, it's just some haterade in his system, right? He's not like happy for everyone, you know? And when you saw that Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford meetup right there, you saw how full of shit Bob Arum was. Oh, you don't have Al Heyman's number? All right, I got his number in my phone. Like, Errol Spence was like, legit, I'll give you his number. Motherfucker like, no, we cool. And then you got Terrence Crawford talking about, oh man, we tried to make the fight. Bob told me he tried to make the fight. So that let me know Terrence Crawford is in the same position Floyd Money Mayweather was before he became Money Mayweather. He is clueless, he is gullible, and he's just listening to what Bob Arum tells him, okay, allegedly, okay? And at the end of the day, because he just listens to what Bob Arum tells him, he essentially is in the same position Anthony Joshua is with Eddie Hearn, where they have all of the power and leverage themselves as the boxers to split away from these people and do their own thing now at this point. They have the clout. Now, I'm pretty sure they have contracts signed. They can't really get out of that contract, stuff like that. It's a sticky situation. But once that contract gets out, you need to get the fuck out of there. Real talk. Because there's more money to be made when you're negotiating on behalf of yourself. And that's really real. And Floyd Mayweather, this is why I love the fact that he took Gervonta Tank Davis under his wing. He is letting this young brother see the business side of it early. And Tank, that motherfucker's a monster. Did y'all see that first round knockout he put on Buddy? Boy, dude was sitting on, he was on one knee like Kaepernick in that motherfucker. That motherfucker did not want to get off that canvas. He said, nah, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. I got my check. I'm cool. That motherfucker was like, nah, B, I'm just a replacement fighter. I ain't come here for all of this smoke. I just came here to give people a show. But anyway, let's get back to Tyson Fury, all right? So by him signing with Top Rank Boxing, now Bob Arum is talking like the Wilder Fury rematch won't happen until possibly September. This is terrible news for any boxing fan. We wanted to see Wilder Fury 2 as soon as possible. And frankly, usually the best time to have a fight is May 5th. The 5th of May, okay? You know, or at least the 4th of May, you know, that's National Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you and shit like that. You know, usually most boxing promotion companies want to have a great fight for May. And you see Anthony Joshua is fighting in June 1st, so it would have made great sense to have their fight before that one. And then Joshua's fight would have looked like trash in comparison. But now they're talking like they ain't gonna have their fight until after the Joshua fight, which sounds a lot like all of a sudden Bob Arum wants Tyson Fury to duck Wilder, doesn't it? And see, this is my problem, because Bob Arum is allegedly allowing Crawford to duck Spence. And see, when you have a promotion company that conducts itself this way, we have no choice but to look at it that way. Because it feels like y'all don't want the smoke. And when the last memory on all of our minds is Wilder sleeping the shit out of Tyson Fury, when that's the last memory of our mind of their last round fighting each other, then it does give some credence to this theory. Because if you were Tyson Fury, an undefeated lineal champion, you wouldn't want all of that shit to go away as soon as possible. Bob Arum wouldn't want it to go away as soon as possible either, because that lineal championship is the one thing that is the cash cow for Tyson Fury besides his mouthpiece. And besides the fact that he's really the only relevant white heavyweight. Let's be honest about that too. So that helps him as well market himself. But he's earned the right to market himself. I'm not going to knock him just for being a white guy. That man's a great boxer no matter what color. It doesn't matter what color you are. You got skill, coach. And that's how I feel about Tyson Fury. But I'm just disappointed on several levels here, because this is the same shit, like I said, Arum is doing with Terrence Crawford. I mean, he's purposely not trying to make this fight between Crawford and Spence out of jealousy of Al Heyman getting the money. That's really what it's about, coach. That's really what it's about, you know? And at the end of the day, Spence is the boogeyman. You feel me? I mean, shit. Bob Arum even told Spence to his face, like I mentioned, he didn't have Al Heyman's number. That was a lie. And all these promoters have each other's numbers. But understand, Al Heyman is the only black promoter that's really popping in boxing besides Floyd Mayweather himself. So all these white promoters are almost going out of their way not to do business with him out of hate. And to be real, it feels like an undertone of racism is at play as well here. What a lot of people don't know is, I already mentioned that, but yeah, at the end of the day, he allegedly did screw Floyd out of some money, and I would love to hear Floyd talk more about that, you know, and I hope he's putting Tank Davis on game, and that's probably why Tank Davis never signed with them dudes over that way at Top Rank. If Crawford was smart, he wouldn't be with Arum. Crawford being gullible enough to believe Arum doesn't have Heyman's number was more than enough of an admission of how pedestrian he is to the business side of boxing. This showed me Errol Spence mentally is far ahead of Crawford when it comes to branding alone. This is why you see Errol Spence, a huge Dallas Cowboys fan with multiple fights at Jerry World. He knows how to do good business. And see, this is my thing. They're fighting at Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Do y'all know how many people fit up in there? They're fighting at that stadium with that big ass screen. That fight finna be litty between him and Mikey Garcia, okay? That's probably gonna be one of the few fights this year that's worth a pay-per-view in my opinion, because I think it's very intriguing to have a guy come up 2 weight classes who's gonna have a certain quickness and speed advantage, but he might not have the chin. You feel what I'm saying? And then on the other side of it, Errol Spence is really dealing with the pressure of being the guy who everyone has a foregone conclusion that will win, okay? And it's never good to go into a fight and having everyone just betting on you, okay? Freaky shit happens, but I still think Errol Spence pulls it out. But I think this is just a testament to the business that's going on at PBC compared to the business at Top Rank. You know, Terrence Crawford, he is fighting bums. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, man. It's kind of like AJ, okay? He fights Gamboa when Gamboa is way past his prime, and Gamboa is like 5'5". He shouldn't even been fighting in the welterweight division anyway, let's be honest. Number 2, he fights against Jeff Horn, who only beat Pacquiao because he headbutted Pacquiao like 20 times, and it was kind of rigged for him to win in Australia, his hometown, okay? You know, so it ain't like TC beat Pacquiao, but it felt like they rigged that to go to Jeff Horn so TC could get that belt off Jeff Horn, and to give a white dude a championship at the same time for like a couple of months. You feel me? So it kind of felt like that was rigged against Pacquiao just to set up Terrence Crawford to have an easy belt. Because let's be real, if Terrence Crawford fights Pacquiao in that situation, there's no guarantee he wins that fight. There's no guarantee. But because he beat the guy who technically beat Pacquiao, people just assume TC would have beaten Pacquiao. That's not how life works, yo. Styles make fights. All right. But yeah, so So yeah, so to get back to Tyson Fury and why this ESPN deal could be bad for the heavyweight division is simple. If it keeps him ducking Wilder, then Wilder can't become the lineal champion. I believe that's the only reason Arum was so thirsty to sign Fury in the first place. I think if Fury would have lost to Wilder in December, Arum doesn't even give him the time of day or give him a deal. It's all about leverage. But who would Fury fight if it isn't Wilder? It can't be AJ because he's booked for June 1st. Everybody is scared of King Kong Ortiz, so it's not going to be him. Dillian White, they're talking about he's going to be forced to fight Dominic Brazil for some #1 contender elimination fight or something. And so really there isn't anyone else for Fury to fight. If this fight doesn't happen, people will remember Fury being knocked the fuck out and connect the dots that he's scared to get slept again. Fury's reputation could plummet like Anthony Joshua's has in America if he doesn't fight Wilder next. Then you got the aforementioned Anthony Joshua, who has been ducking threats for so long that even his countryman, Lennox Lewis, called him out for being scared several times. Now, while Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter and manager, would love to convince everyone that Lennox Lewis is somehow a hater and biased because of his ties to PBC, the truth is, Lennox Lewis has always been one to shoot you straight. Lennox knows Anthony Joshua doesn't want that Wilder smoke. He can smell it in the air. He can smell it. Because why aren't you in a rush to unify these belts, bruh? You ain't got no mandatories. How many motherfuckers you already fought? You ain't won a belt. When the last time he even won a belt? Since he fought Joshua Parker, right? So the fight after Parker was his mandatory defense. So everything he's doing after that is ducking. And I believe Povetkin was the mandatory. Or was it Takum? I can't remember. But at the end of the day, I think it was Povetkin. Povetkin, I believe, was his mandatory. After the Povetkin, he had no excuse. But see, Wilder got tired of chasing his ass. That's what it came down. And then Fury stepped up to the plate and said, I'll fight him, because AJ's a fucking pussy. That's really how it happened. 100%. Okay? And this leads me to AJ's next fight, which will be on June 1st at Madison Square Garden against Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Now, Big Baby Miller is basically a nobody, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Now, Tyson Fury claims that he fought this guy before. Now, someone deleted the tapes because we ain't seen it. But Tyson Fury claims he's knocked this dude out 7 times in one fight. Now, Tyson Fury don't got no power like that. So if he knocked this motherfucker out, that's not good coming into this fight. I think the hype for this fight, they need to hide the tapes to that if they want to, but I heard they already sold out Madison Square Garden. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know. But we also got to remember, these British fans, they're a little nutty when it comes to AJ. They defend him for the same shit they hate Mayweather for. Real talk, they defend him for the same shit they hate Mayweather for. So, and these are the same people that allowed AJ to say, I'll never fight in America. I'll never fight in America against Wilder. Then all of a sudden, a dude who isn't on Wilder's level challenges you to a fight and pushes you, and you go, I'll come to New York. Huh? What changed? You know? It's almost like Anthony Joshua realized, fuck, I'm gonna become irrelevant if I don't fight in America now because Fury's fighting in America. I think that's what it is. I think I figured it out. That's why he's in America now, because he saw Fury leapfrog him in global popularity. That's what it was. Yep. Because America's, we still don't know who the fuck he is, besides hardcore fans like me who cover sports. Like, people don't really know who Anthony Joshua is, but I'm giving you guys the background on this guy before he starts popping off in America, so you know the real AJ once he starts getting the hype behind him. You see, he's on Sway in the Morning and shit, so they got him going through the car wash, the New York car wash, as they like to say. They got him going through it, all right? And I don't know if y'all checked out the Sway in the Morning shit, but y'all gotta check this shit out, because when Anthony Joshua got on Shade 45, he did one of those 5 Fingers of Death freestyles, you know, that rappers usually do when they jump on Sway's show, right? So tell me why a few days later, or a couple of days later, Big Baby Miller jumps on that shit. Now, you can clearly tell he came up in there with some writtens, okay? You can clearly tell this nigga came in there a bit prepared. But I can't stress this enough. Y'all need to check out Big Baby Miller's freestyle on Sway in the Morning. It's one of the funniest freestyles, bro. Because at the end of the day, even though he may have wrote some shit at the beginning, you could tell he was freestyling towards the end. And the shit that he was saying, it was just funny to me, man. It was some funny Brooklyn nigga shit. Like, I'll take your mama, throw her in the back of the trunk. Like, he was just talking that hot shit, bro. Like, it was hilarious to me, bro. And just seeing Big Baby Miller acknowledge every beat that popped up, knowing which beat was Wu-Tang and shit, like just seeing that from a fighter was pretty dope to me. And I think that's what separates the American boxers from the UK boxers. It's the fact that we can relate to the American boxers differently because they living in the same struggle we are. So the way they just approach different shit is just different. And I guess this is why the American Descendants of Slaves hashtag was created, because there truly is no black man like an ADOS black man. There isn't. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to go ahead and put this in here because I want y'all to check out these two freestyles, and I would like y'all to comment below which one y'all think won. Who has the best bars between AJ and Big Baby Miller? I think the fight will be entertaining because AJ fights very carelessly and punches himself out of rounds very often. So if it goes this distance, an upset is possible, but still taking this fight over White and Wilder in America after AJ told the world he would never fight Wilder on American soil makes him a hypocrite and, in my opinion, a pussy. So you'll fight a nobody on American soil for less money, but you told Wilder you would only fight him if he put up 50 million and agreed to come to the UK. See, these are the actions of someone who is ducking somebody. Now all of a sudden you want to build your brand in America, but when Wilder was telling you the real money was in America, you was too busy listening to Eddie Hearn to see the forest from the trees. I don't respect people whose actions aren't in line with their words. People can say whatever they want about Wilder, but Wilder put up the 50 million. Wilder wanted to fight AJ anywhere. Wilder wanted the fucking smoke. Wilder wanted to unify the belts. Wilder wanted what the fans wanted. AJ don't care about nothing but money. It's clear as day he don't care about nothing but money. And I get it. This is legacy money. You want to get as much money from each fight as possible because at any moment you could lose your career or life in the ring. I get that. But at the same time, bro, you'll never be one of the greatest of all time if you don't fight these guys. Especially at heavyweight. Especially. Okay? You know, the money is the only reason why he's fighting in America. It's that simple. But he would have had more money fighting Wilder. So it shows he's only interested in making money with the least amount of risk. That's his right. But if you're claiming to be the A-side boxer in the heavyweight division, you can't be doing this shit, AJ. And that's my point. He isn't the A-side anymore, okay? He and Big Baby had their press conference this week, and if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. It's pretty fucking funny. Because Big Baby, he's one of them New York, Brooklyn dudes. He'll tell you how he feels, right? And what I find very suspicious is how all the British media publications muted parts of Big Baby's speech from their broadcast to protect AJ's image. Let me go deeper. Big Baby brought up how AJ suspiciously gained 20 pounds of muscle in 1 year after the amateurs. He also talked about how AJ was allegedly getting testosterone exemptions, which implies PED use, ladies and gentlemen. So understand, the British media is hiding this because it would ruin their cash cow if it got out. But isn't it interesting how nobody calls AJ a cheater the way people call John Bones Jones a cheater? And yet John Jones has beaten all of the greats in his division, while AJ hasn't fought any of the greats besides Vladimir Klitschko past his prime, and he still got knocked out by a 40-year-old Vladimir? So understand, this is why he doesn't want to fight Wilder, y'all. Alright, so now let's move on over to NFL. I think I gave y'all a good 45, maybe 50 minutes of mixed martial arts talk, boxing talk. So now let's talk about the NFL. I told y'all my Dallas Cowboys would beat the Rams. We lost 22 to 30. I'ma own it. I'ma own it, ladies and gentlemen. We took that L. But I thought Jared Goff and Sean McVay played that entire game like beta males. They ran no huddle, and Jared Goff would just stand there and look at our formation for 20 seconds and then hike the ball. It was the most annoying game to watch because it wasn't them attacking us. It wasn't them playing at a pace. They literally was just trying to keep our defense on the field, and they were just trying to stare at us. And now that we know what we know about what happened in the Super Bowl, it makes sense why Bill Belichick applied that strategy in the Super Bowl. Now, if you don't know what Bill Belichick did to truly stump Jared Goff and make him look like a total fucking Alliance of American Football quarterback, let's be real. That motherfucker looked terrible, all right, in the Super Bowl. And see, I only know that because I watched it on demand after the fact. But like I said, so I fully believe Bill Belichick watched that Rams game with the Cowboys, and he saw the way that they were doing no huddle, but he was just standing there watching shit. Now it makes sense, because Bill Belichick revealed that he would purposely tell his defense to be in the wrong formation and wait until the last 15 seconds of the play clock, because once you get to the last 15 seconds of the play clock, the coach can no longer communicate with the quarterback's helmet, which means once you get to the 15-second mark, Sean McVay can't give Jared Goff the strategy guide on where to throw the ball. But isn't that a testament to how trash Jared Goff is? That he needs a coach that never played quarterback? As in the NFL, he needs his coach to tell him where to throw it? Why ain't this motherfucker scanning the field, going through progressions? See, this is my problem with niggas that hate on Dak Prescott. Because they say Dak Prescott, he's not patient enough in the pocket. What about this motherfucker? Y'all, this dude was a #1 pick in the draft and could only score 3 points in a fucking Super Bowl. Everyone gives him a fucking pass for it. Cam Newton barely loses the Super Bowl, and all people complain about is, oh, he didn't die for a fumble. You see this racist shit? Jared Goff gets a pass, huh? Oh, he didn't have Cooper Kupp. Shut your bitch ass up. He didn't have Cooper Kupp. What the fuck? As if Cam Newton had great receivers when he was in the damn Super Bowl. Are you crazy or something? Do y'all forget who Cam Newton's receivers? This nigga had Greg Olsen and a bunch of trash bags. Like, let's be real. Let's be real, because I believe Kelvin Benjamin was injured for the Super Bowl. He didn't even have Kelvin Benjamin, and that was before they fell out, okay? So that's my point, ladies and gentlemen. People are defending Jared Goff. Now, I know the real motherfuckers is holding Jared Goff accountable, but let's be real. Jared Goff plays for a team with fair weather fans. Them LA fans don't give a fuck about the damn Rams. They only give a fuck about them when they made the Super Bowl. And that's why it was rigged for them to make the fucking Super Bowl, because that's the only way anyone's gonna give a fuck about a team that just moved to a new city is if they immediately make it to the Super Bowl. And that's why the NFL rigged that shit against the Saints. And it's sad, man. It's sad. That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. And honestly, after seeing them rig the shit against the Saints, it made me rewatch the Cowboys-Rams games, and I saw a lot of bad calls in that game. And when you think about it, the fact that we only lost by 8 points, I feel like they rigged that game against us. I do. I feel like it was predetermined for the Rams to make the Super Bowl. Any team that matched up with them was gonna take an L. All right? And it's funny because everybody wanted to clown me after my Cowboys lost, but they really couldn't, because all the niggas I know, their team lost already, right? The Bears, they already lost, so I couldn't have niggas from my city clown me, right? Because they took an L to the Eagles, the team we swept. So they can't really say shit to me. And we lost to the team that went to the Super Bowl, so they really can't say shit to me, right? The only thing they can say is, well, you called that your team would win. And yeah, hold me accountable for getting that wrong, but at the same time, though, no one can really clown my team, because no one expects my team to even win a playoff game as it is. You see what I'm saying? So I'm proud of my team. We're a young team, and we're gonna be back. But at the end of the day, I'm just tired of them rigging shit for white quarterbacks, man. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it, man. The best team should always win, and that was one of the worst Super Bowls of all time. And luckily, I was standing with Cap and didn't even watch the bitch, and I didn't miss shit. They said it was one of the lowest rated Super Bowls in 10 years. Oh, and by the way, that halftime show, Travis Scott. What the fuck, man? You were one of the worst live performers I have ever heard, from a rap perspective. Terrible. Terrible. And see, that's why I never was a huge Travis Scott guy. Everybody, man, you gotta listen to Travis Scott, man. That dude, man, he dope. I'm like, bro, he's a mediocre rapper. His beats is dope, but shit, everybody got dope beats these days. Like, nothing is making me want to fuck with him. And this dude is basically a Kardashian. Like, I canceled that nigga like years ago, to be honest with you. So I wasn't shocked that he did the Super Bowl despite everyone telling him not to. You feel me? I mean, he's with a Kardashian despite everyone telling him not to. You feel me? He started a family with a Kardashian despite all of the history telling you not to fuck with them. He still decided to do it. So he's one of them type of dudes that don't get no fuck. You feel me? So it is what it is, man. And you would think, like, when the Grammys came around, that they would have Travis Scott's back for being a sellout of his community and give him a Grammy, but he didn't even win a Grammy for Sicko Mode. They gave it to Drake for God's Plan. So at the end of the day, you cooned it the fuck up and you didn't even get rewarded for it. Was it worth it? Nope. But yeah, but at the end of the day, man, I'm ecstatic about what my Cowboys are gonna do next year. We're already in talks to sign Earl Thomas. Bring him in. Bring him in. I feel like if we had Earl during this playoff run, we would have won the Super Bowl. I truly believe that, y'all. Because watching that Patriots game, first off, Todd Gurley was hurt. they really only had one running back, the Rams. If Ezekiel Elliott would have been able to run against that Patriots team, he would have ran ragged. Because the Patriots use a lot of little guys, man. Their O-line is a lot of little guys. Their D-line is a lot of little guys. And they kind of just like to swarm you. But they ain't got no real power. They ain't got no real strength on that D-line, man. I'm telling you, dog. We would have ate them for dinner, man. And I'm just bored with the Tom Brady shit. 6 rings. Is he the best athlete ever? Like, man, chill, man. Chill. LeBron James the best athlete I've ever seen with my 2 eyes. It's between LeBron James and Cristiano Ronaldo. It's between them two. Those are the 2 best athletes I think I've ever seen play in my life. Because of all of the shit they can do in their sport that no one else can seem to do with that size. And you know what? I'll give Zlatan some credit too. He's freakish too. But besides them 3, not really. But yeah, so the Cowboys ended up losing to the Rams 22-30. Then the Eagles somehow lost to the Saints after being up 14-0. I mean, this was one of the biggest choke jobs of all time. This felt like a game that was rigged for the Saints because the Eagles got off to too good of a start to give up that lead and lose. Like, I don't think they scored again after they went up 14-0. I might be wrong, but I don't think they scored again. And that's just not like Nick Foles. Especially when you consider that Saints D had Eli Apple on one side. How the fuck do you not score again? That don't even make sense, man. Eli Apple, that dude's trash. You feel me? He's trash, you know? But yeah, so at the end of the day, I feel like the Eagles blowing that 14-0 lead, it opened up the door for all of the Carson Wentz dick riders to come from their hibernation. You know, they was hiding once Foles beat the Bears. They was like, oh shit, we were wrong. Then all of a sudden they lose to the Saints in New Orleans. We know that's one of the best home field advantages in the history of the league. You know, they lose that game, and now all the Wentz dick riders come back out. And now it appears that Foles, I think Foles declined his option to save his team some money. They're going to probably franchise tag him. Then they're going to probably trade him away for some assets. And it's just sad, man, because honestly, I feel like you get more assets for Wentz. Why wouldn't you want Foles to be your quarterback, flip Wentz into 2 number 1s, and then build around that? And it sounds like they're going to try to trade for Le'Veon Bell. You're not going to trade Foles for Le'Veon. So what I think the Eagles are going to attempt to do is trade Foles away to get some picks back that they could then put together for a package to grab Le'Veon. But Le'Veon didn't get franchise tagged, so they would just have to go to free agency to sign him. So most likely, they're going to trade away Foles. What they franchise tag him with will probably be about $25 million. Once you trade that away, that clears $25 million, and they'll probably start around $20 million with Le'Veon Bell. They got to make him the highest paid running back at least. I don't think Todd Gurley deserves to be the highest paid running back. I'm just being honest with you. He's had 2 good seasons, but Ezekiel Elliott is the better running back. Who else is the better running back? Yeah, Zeke's better. I take Leonard Fournette over Todd Gurley, to be honest. But Leonard Fournette don't have no O-line like Todd Gurley got. You see what I'm saying? Shoot, I take homeboy with the New York Giants, the rookie. I take him over Todd Gurley. But to be honest, I take that dude over Zeke, quiet as it's kept. I think that motherfucker can play. What's his name? Shaquille. What's homeboy name? Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna do the research. I promise y'all. I promise y'all I will do the research. New York Giants running back. Saquon, that's his name, Saquon. I call the man Shaquille. My fault, Saquon. I rock with you, Saquon. I like your game, man. Even if you on the rival team, I still like your game. But see, that's my point. Saquon Barkley is better than Todd Gurley to me. You know, Todd Gurley, he's a bit overhyped. And now that he's having these reoccurring knee problems, nah, man. I think the Rams made a huge mistake paying him the most money out of any running back in the league. They're going to regret that decision in about 3 years. Mark my words. Maybe 2. But yeah, so the Rams, essentially, they got the NFC Championship game rigged for them. We all saw the play, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, one of the worst non-calls, I think, in NFL history, for a guy to go for the ball and for the DB to just crack him before the ball even shows up, and for the refs to chalk shit off as it was uncatchable. Yeah, my nigga, because he knocked him out. What you mean? It's uncatchable. It's uncatchable because of the illegal pass interference that happened. Like, what? But see, I salute you Saints fans, because you Saints fans did what a lot of fans is too scared to do. Y'all created a movement. Shit, y'all even went to Atlanta to boycott the game. They were legit marching around the stadium boycotting shit. Like, they made the entire city feel like it was on edge because of how they treated those New Orleans fans. Then when you add to the fact that Atlanta's the city of the Falcons, one of their, probably their biggest rival, it also added a little bit to the flavor and a little bit to the buildup of the game. And I think that's what hurt the ratings of the game too. I think that's what hurt the atmosphere of the game too. You know, because I think a lot of Saints fans probably bought tickets. And I think they probably tried to resell them for a high price because they was probably mad, and maybe they kept the ticket and just decided not to walk in. I don't know. There's a lot of facets to this that is very intriguing to me. But one thing's for sure, the Saints fans deserve an ovation for standing on their 10 toes and calling out Roger Goodell in the NFL. That's bullshit. Shoot, I heard they was possibly trying to do a class action allegedly. You know, and that's the new level of all of this right there. You know, once you start acting like, oh man, we gonna sue y'all for blatantly rigging that shit, that's when it gets really interesting. And the problem I got with Roger Goodell is he basically waited 2 weeks until the day before the Super Bowl damn near to address the situation. Like, he wanted the shit to die off. And did y'all notice that this was like the first Super Bowl where, like, you know, the Super Bowl week where they usually do media and shit, the media week and shit? You notice this was like the first Super Bowl where no one gave a fuck about the media week? It's because no one gives a fuck about the Rams and their bandwagon fan base, and no one gives a fuck about the Patriots, who are always there. They're the spoiled rich kids. That's who the Patriots are. We're tired of that. Nobody cares. Y'all might think, oh, they're polarizing. People will watch. Well, now you know. No, not no more. We tired of this shit. This is like back in the day when you was a wrestling fan and you kept seeing Triple H become champion. You're like, this is only because he's fucking Stephanie. It's like that. Like, we can clearly tell the Patriots keep making it to the Super Bowl because Tom Brady is the pinnacle of great white hope. Like that's why he keeps making it, man. Because they want to keep propping him up. They want him to eclipse Jordan. I wouldn't be surprised if he hangs it up after 7 rings, just so he can always say, I'm the best North American athlete of all time. Look at me. You know, I think that's what he's going for at this point. And honestly, Jordan isn't even the GOAT in his sport to me. So I don't think y'all got to rig another fucking year of NFL just to prove that point, okay? You know, at the end of the day, that's just how I feel, you know? And Tom Brady has never been an exciting quarterback to me. Never. But I tell y'all this, though. Jared Goff playing like dog shit in that Super Bowl, it did do something, though. Y'all know what it proved? It proved that Patrick Mahomes is better than we thought. And it proved Jared Goff is worse than we thought. And it proved Nick Foles is better than we thought. Because Nick Foles dropped 50 on that Patriots team a year ago. What's his name? Patty Mahomes, he dropped 50 damn near on that Patriots team in the AFC Championship. For Jared Goff to only manage 3 points, I don't give a fuck if Todd Gurley's hurt or not. CJ Anderson ran through the Dallas Cowboys. He ran through us, I'll admit it. For him not to do shit in that game, come on, man. That's on Jared Goff. Jared Goff don't know how to call an audible. He don't know how to do shit, bruh. He don't know how to do shit. So yeah, I think it's very interesting how Goff is allowed to play like dog shit in the Super Bowl, and he isn't criticized half as much as Cam Newton was a couple of years back for losing the big game. This shows the double standard, and I know what y'all gonna say, but Cam Newton was a sore loser, Dave. He walked out of the press conference, Dave. Yeah, because the NFL was dumb enough to allow the winning team to have a dude on a podium with a microphone on speaker where Cam could hear a guy throw shade at him from 30 feet away while he's doing interviews. You don't think that fucks with an athlete's psyche? I'm sure Cam wanted to go over there and beat that nigga ass. I think that was Chris Harris. You think Chris Harris would win a fight with Cam Newton? Absolutely not. Shit, Cam Newton almost whooped Josh Norman's ass when he was on his team at training camp. Okay? So let's be real here. Cam wanted to get up out of that mix because he knew he probably would have did something he would have regretted in that moment, man. Y'all don't know what that shit feels like, man. To lose something and then to hear someone gloat about it after the fact with no class. And then y'all just want to harp on Cam's class. That's that bullshit, man. So, at the end of the day, Goff only could score a field goal in the biggest game of his career. At least Cam led his team on drives and scored touchdowns. But the way people still talk about Cam to this day about not recovering a fumble to question his heart is laughable when Goff has less heart and they don't even bring it up. Instead, they change the narrative that Bill Belichick is just that good, quote unquote. But in using that narrative, aren't they telling us how good Nick Foles was to beat Belichick the year prior? How can the same media defend Goff for his poor play, yet still say the Eagles should choose Wentz over Foles? No matter how you shake it, the media is biased towards young white quarterbacks, and at the same time, they are too hard on young black ones. Boy, we talking that shit today. I provide the same level of coverage to the sports game as I always will to Big Brother, coach. This is what I do. And I say the shit no one else will say, coach. No one else will say. Now, either they too scared to say it, or they just ain't into the game enough. They don't really study it. But let's continue. All right. All right, let's continue. It also isn't lost on me that the Chiefs were forced to cut Kareem Hunt for pushing someone into a woman and kicking her after she called him a nigger. But somehow, the NFL allowed the Cleveland Browns, another team with a young white quarterback, to sign Kareem Hunt off waivers. So this shows us that they allow us to get away with crime if we agree to help the legacy of great white hopes. It's like the controversy was too much for him to play with a black quarterback, but it wasn't a big enough deal for him to have a white quarterback. And keep in mind, this is the same Baker Mayfield who had enough leverage in his rookie season to get a black coach fired. So the optics of all of this screams white privilege before anything else. Even the media not reporting the white girl using a racial slur as white privilege. It's a cover-up. I still believe this was done to ruin Patrick Mahomes' MVP chances so Drew Brees could get it, but Mahomes managed to still rise above it, and he further exceeded expectations by being the #1 seed in the AFC. Mahomes probably makes the Super Bowl if they allow him to keep Kareem Hunt. You notice that? And that's the most big thing about this, y'all. If they would have just let Kareem Hunt stay on the Chiefs, Kareem Hunt most likely is that extra inch that allows Mahomes to make the Super Bowl. And I think he beats the Rams in the Super Bowl because the Rams was trash in the Super Bowl. But anyway, let's continue. And when you take into account he scored 50 on the pass without Kareem Hunt, and Goff couldn't score 3 on the same team 2 weeks later, it's safe to say Goff is one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. And before y'all use the excuse of, oh, but Ty Gurley was hurt, my nigga, Patrick Mahomes didn't even have his fucking first string running back in the game. He didn't even have him in the game. He didn't even have him as a decoy like Goff had. So that's not a valid excuse for me. All right, so let's continue. And seeing as they rig shit for him even to play the Pats, it opens up Pandora's box because now I believe they rigged the Cowboys-Rams game too. They needed the Rams in the Super Bowl to get the attention of those fair-weather plastic LA fans. And that's just what's really real. I heard Belichick had a strategy, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where he purposely had his team line up in a fake formation until the final 15 seconds of the play clock, just so Goff couldn't get the cheat sheet on who to throw to. So understand, Goff is just as trash as Trubisky, but I would go as far as to say he's worse than Trubisky. Because Trubisky, he might be a one-read quarterback, but Goff, he's a training wheel quarterback. He needs you to tell him where to look. That's even worse. But what makes him more of an embarrassment than Trubisky is that he needs Sean McVay to tell him what to do to be successful. Belichick would never try this shit with Mahomes, though. Hell, he wouldn't even try this shit with Foles. Meaning Foles is better than Goff and Wentz, and this ain't up for debate. LA Rams fans gotta hold this L, but I'd argue they don't have a real fan base, and that's why people ain't even mad about losing. Did y'all notice how Dak Prescott was the only quarterback for the NFC that played well at the Pro Bowl? You notice how the media didn't mention this at all? It's almost like the Pro Bowl never happened. You know, I peeped game on this because everyone tells me Dak Prescott isn't that good. All right, well, explain to me how he was the only fucking quarterback on the NFC side that marched up and down the field. I'd love to hear your excuse. And don't give me that bullshit because Drew Brees played in that game. He played in that game. Don't give me that bullshit, y'all. You know, but of course the media doesn't cover this because it doesn't fit their anti-black quarterback narrative. So let's continue. Kaepernick, he goes ahead and he settles with the NFL. Now it's an undisclosed amount of money that he got. I'm happy for the brother. While some people will be mad at him, I'm mad you settled, man. You should have, if you really had your foot on their necks, why didn't you keep going, man? At the end of the day, this was always about him not getting paid what he felt he was owed. Okay? once the price matched what he felt he was owed, he pulled out, coach. I don't blame the man, all right? He doesn't want his life to always be in litigation. And y'all know how these lawyer fees go. The NFL will bleed you dry if you don't take their first offer, man. It's almost like the first plea deal. You don't take that shit, oh, the next one ain't gonna be as good. So I'm not mad at Brother Kaepernick. I'm not mad at him at all. And I'm actually happy Brother Eric Reed got some money out of this too, because he deserved to. And I found out that dude Malcolm Jenkins, he was actually snitching on the Players Association to allegedly, he was snitching on the Players Association, and he was snitching on a lot of people in the union, okay, regarding this kneeling shit. And that's why Eric Reed had a problem with Malcolm Jenkins. So now it all comes back full circle, because I wasn't really sure earlier in the season why they had that problem. I just assumed it was because Malcolm Jenkins' heart wasn't really in it. Now we know, oh, this dude was actually running up the chain of command and telling them what these dudes were thinking. So he was a total coon in this situation, double agent. And the last thing I would like to discuss regarding football, ladies and gentlemen, is the arrival of the Alliance of American Football, the AAF. I'm actually excited about this because I know a lot of brothers that, you know, they weren't drafted and they couldn't make the 53-man roster, and, you know, ball didn't bounce their way. They couldn't make the practice squad. This gives them another opportunity to prove their talent, and that's all people want, man. You know, I got a homeboy, one of my best friends, his younger brother Michael, he played college football. I think stuff like this is great for him to continuously pursue his dreams. I think this is good for my cousin Daniel, to know that, hey man, you could still make it, bro. It's never too late. You know what I'm saying? Keep fighting. You know, I think this is great. And I think this cuts into the XFL, maybe the talent pool. I think this maybe cuts into it a bit. And now, with a certain checks and balances system, I actually have a suggestion for the NFL. What I think y'all should do, I think the team with the worst record in the NFL, now logistically this won't happen because you would have to switch around who's in what conference, who's in what division each year. But I'm only mentioning this because soccer has a relegation promotion system, and I think it makes things much more interesting to always have a new like crop of teams in the league each year. But I would really like it if the worst team, I'm talking to keep people from tanking, if you incentivize it as the last place team in the NFL gets automatically demoted to the AAF, and the team that wins the AAF title automatically gets promoted to the NFL. I think that would change everything. Number one, it would turn the AAF into the most competitive league ever because nobody is playing to be an entertainer. Everyone is playing to make it, right? Then in the NFL side, it would incentivize everyone never to tank, you know, because you could be in the AAF and not even get to reap the benefits of that pick, and then the team who wins the title and takes your place gets your pick first in the draft. I think that would be really interesting. I don't know. I think that would be really interesting. Now, like I said, logistically it's probably unrealistic, but I'm just throwing ideas out there. You know what I'm saying? So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and move on over to NBA, why don't we? Kyrie Irving apologizes to LeBron James for being an entitled fuckboy in Cleveland. It's about damn time. Where's that LeBron James meme at? About damn time. It's about damn time, Kyrie. I've been saying this for the longest. You was a dumb motherfucker. Now, he prefaced everything by saying, oh, I still wouldn't take back the decision I made, but I felt like I was just young and immature and didn't understand the stuff he was trying to teach me. All right, so you kind of hedged a bit. It was kind of a backhanded compliment. You know, it was kind of a half-assed apology. It's kind of like how Dame Dash apologized to all of them people at Rock Nation. He was like, hey, we might not agree and have the same morals, but that's cool, bro. Like that's basically sneak dissing a nigga, but that's neither here nor there. But, you know, the media wants Kyrie to go to the LA Lakers. And see, I see what Katie's talking about when he says it's kind of toxic, because the media does it's like every team LeBron's on, they want that team to be good so bad. And as a guy who's been a huge LeBron fan for so long, maybe I was blind to this, but now I'm starting to see it. So I get where they're coming from. But at the same time, though, Kyrie had to have known telling people out loud that he apologized to LeBron would do that. But see, what is my take on his apology? I think Kyrie apologized to LeBron because he knew LeBron, no matter what, was going to be a captain in the All-Star game. I think Kyrie, no matter what, had it planned with KD to meet in Miami after the All-Star game. So, and they ended up meeting the day after on Monday, remember? So I think this apology was all about Kyrie trying to mend fences so LeBron would pick him for the All-Star game. But if y'all remember correctly, a year before, LeBron still picked him for the All-Star team. So I don't get that. I don't get what his angle was. Now, people are saying, well, clearly he's apologizing because he wants to be a Laker. I don't think Kyrie would ever want to play with LeBron again because they already tried to beat the Warriors together, and it worked once out of 3 times. Well, really, the first time Kyrie was hurt. Okay, it worked 1 out of 2 times. And then Kyrie left, and then LeBron was forced to face them by himself, and J.R. Smith did what he did, and they got swept. But, yeah, so at the end of the day, man, you know, I really feel like Kyrie, at the end of the day, I just think he was, you know, I think he wanted LeBron to pick him and KD on the same team. I think they both wanted to spend time with each other and have an excuse for being with each other, because if they were on opposite teams, then they wouldn't have had as much time to discuss shit together. And then in the same token, LeBron was very smart. And see, people started accusing LeBron of tampering. And if y'all saw this All-Star draft, I'm so glad this one was live, because that shit was hilarious. Am I the only one that laughed tons of times during that draft? I mean, you know, LeBron, I think he picked Anthony Davis, and Giannis started saying, this is tampering. And then everyone started laughing and shit. Like, that was hilarious. Then to have Giannis say, oh, I want to pick Russell Westbrook and Embiid on my team because I want them to have to play together. And then for LeBron to pick Russell Westbrook and forget what Giannis said, that was funny too. Because LeBron was like, fuck it, I'm trying to win. I'm picking Russ. So then, after the draft happened, they ended up making a trade, and they traded, I think, Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons. And that's how Ben Simmons wound up on LeBron's team. So that was pretty funny. And I thought it was really funny how Ben Simmons had to be traded at the expense of Russell. So basically, Joel Embiid couldn't play with his teammate, and instead had to play with a nigga he hates. I just thought the optics of that was hilarious. But yeah, that was really funny. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and discuss the Pelicans-Lakers trade saga. I mean, what the hell was this shit? I mean, I ain't gonna lie. The media got me. They got me. I was looking forward to watching this shit. I was like, you know what? I would like to see AD and LeBron play together. But see, I was one of the main people that said, if the Lakers include Kuzma in this deal, they're high. That's the stance I always took. I've always said, Anthony Davis is worth a lot of stuff. But you do not trade Kuzma. Why? Because Kuzma is the perfect player to go with AD. Kuzma stretches the floor, just like Robert Horry did for Olajuwon. All right? And see, that's who Kuzma is to me. He's the next Robert Horry. He's that guy. You know, if you need to kick it out to a 4 that can dribble it, that can finish it, and shoot it, that was Robert Horry's game on the Rockets. See, a lot of people don't know, on the Rockets, Robert Horry was a bad man. He was a bad man. He was like 6th man of the year on that team, wasn't he? No, I don't think he was 6th man of the year. But he was a young gunner, and his game was a lot like Kuzma's then. I'm telling y'all, man, Robert Horry, man, listen. But see, that's my point. I would have never traded Kuzma for AD. But because the trade didn't go through, they still can get AD and keep Kuzma. But they got blown the fuck out by like 40. You know, because you know, the young guys, they didn't like being put in it. And you got to put yourself in their shoes. These guys is in their early 20s, late teens. They're being put in these trade talks. They're probably living the life of their dreams as a Laker. Like, no one wants to leave that team, man. Nobody. Like, and it got to a point where the Lakers offered everybody. And that's the problem I got with the Pelicans. The fact that they started leaking information out. And see, I ain't no Lakers fan. Fuck the Lakers. You know, but at the same time, though, I thought that was unprofessional. Because once you start leaking information out just to ruin the Lakers, now I'm like, yeah, but who's going to do business with you now in the future? Because you could leak that information out. You played yourself doing that. You know? In my opinion, I truly believe the Pelicans played themselves, because now the only people they can deal with is the Lakers, because everyone else is going to be too scared that their packages are going to be exposed. You see what I'm saying? And then there's people saying, well, Danny Ainge, he gave them offer they can't refuse. He's dangling Jason Tatum. That motherfucker ain't dangling Jason Tatum. Stop believing the hype. Okay? He just wanted to stall these motherfuckers out so he would have more time to offer more people in the deal. It's probably going to be Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier, you know, all of these guys that's really not that good, but because they play for Boston, they get overhyped like Isaiah Thomas was. We know the game. We know the con game at this point now. You feel me? And see, that's the problem I have with Boston teams. All of their players get overhyped, the refs give them special treatment in every sport, and then you start to assume these players are as good as they are, then they go to another team, they get exposed because they don't get the preferential Boston treatment anymore. Happens all the time, y'all. All the time. Like, show me a player that was good at Boston and went to another team and is just as good somewhere else. I'll wait. And I don't think there has been a player who is just as good at Boston as they were at another team after the fact. I don't think there is a player. Like, really, I'm actually trying to think of a player. I can't think of anyone. Really. And that's because usually if you're good, they're going to keep you there forever. You know, usually. They don't usually trade away good players early in the game. Unless they know for a fact, like, oh, he's overhyped, like Isaiah Thomas, and that's my point. You feel what I'm saying? So they create fake assets. You know, J. Cole talks about false prophets. They create false assets. Hashtag that shit. All right, let's continue. Oh, no, I didn't really finish the trade saga. So basically, yeah, Anthony Davis doesn't go. He gets injured. He walks out of the stadium. This ends up getting their GM fired, who happened to be a black man. It feels like the black GM. I forgot his name. Hold on. I told y'all I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna always get the facts right. Former GM of the Pelicans. Okay. What was this dude's name? Dale Demps. Dale Demps was the guy being manipulated by all these outside teams from smaller markets. Don't trade with the Lakers. Come on, man. Stand firm. Don't give them what they want. Come on, man. Why do they always have to be the team that's good? And I agree with that. I agree with that. As a Trailblazers fan, it drives me up a wall. Because after Dame Lillard showed out, now all of a sudden, oh, we want Dame on the Lakers. Man, y'all fake as fuck. Y'all never cared about Dame. I've been telling niggas Dame the best point guard in the league for how long now? I remember debating people in the third-party quartet video. I remember talking with my guys about this. I told them I thought Dame was better than Kyrie then. So I'm not fake here. I'm not being fake. Because I told them I think Dame is just as clutch, but I think Dame has more to his game than Kyrie, and Dame is a better defender. That's really what I've always... And he's, without a doubt, a better leader. Without a doubt. Dame has never missed the playoffs. And he's never really had a top 8 talented team in the West, minus maybe 2 seasons, when he had like LaMarcus Aldridge, when he had Nicholas Batum, Wesley Matthews, those guys. That was probably the only time he ever really had a top 8 talented team. After that, he's truly pulled his teams up by the bootstraps and just made the playoffs because he's just that good of a player. And he doesn't get the respect he deserves. Feel me? Stephanie has missed the playoffs several times. Now, I know his fan base, oh, he was injured. Doesn't matter. If he's not consistent, if he's not healthy, he can't possibly be better. Sorry, that's not how the game works. Kyrie, before LeBron got there, injury prone, couldn't carry anybody. You see what I'm saying? Him and Deion Waiters was garbage, right? But I'd argue CJ McCollum is just a better version of Deion Waiters because he don't really play D like that, and yet they're making the playoffs, and they were a 3 seed last year. Now they lost to the Pelicans as a 6 seed, but that just goes to show you how great Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, and Rajon Rondo was. It was a perfect storm of guys to limit Lillard and McCollum just enough because they weren't scared of him, and they both were good defenders. I'm talking about Rondo and Drew. But then you got Anthony Davis stretching Nurkic out of the paint. It was just a bad matchup. You feel me? But see, that's my problem. Why ain't nobody trying to play with the Portland Trailblazers? Because everything is about marketing. And that's why I respect Dame for coming out and saying, I ain't selling my soul for no fucking rings. That's what let me know he was the next Iverson. That was the quote that let me know he's the next. Now, while a whole bunch of Golden State dick riders, oh, you ain't no winner then. Sell your soul, man. That's what people want to talk about. Look, man, I respect a motherfucker for standing on his 10 toes and telling you, hey, I'm not compromising my integrity. And I talked about that in the opening song, right? You feel me? I respect that because that lets me know who you are as a human being. You're not driven by the money. And let's be real. The way people treat him in Portland, he'll never get that treatment as a Laker, man. LeBron will always get that treatment first. And that's what's really real. Like, that ain't no hater shit. That's just me being honest. Some people want to be the man. They want that responsibility. You feel me? But, so now let's get into the 76ers, who made 2 trades. First off, they completely finessed the Clippers. Now, I see why the Clippers did it. The Clippers did it because they didn't want to re-sign Tobias Harris. At the same time, the Clippers, they're trying to get these max slots open because they want to be able to sign 2 max guys. So I get it. I get why they did it. But I felt like they gave the 76ers way too much talent for nothing. What did the 76ers give them back? They gave them like Landry Shamet back, who was like at the time the only small guard who could really shoot on the team. And I don't know who's going to be their small guard that can shoot now, and that's why I thought they should have traded for Kemba over Jimmy Butler. And now that they got Tobias Harris, I think the team would have looked much better with Kemba, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Embiid, and then you just plug in somebody else. I think that lineup would have been much more difficult to guard that way. But now you got Ben Simmons at point, you got Jimmy Butler, you got Tobias Harris. Look, very big lineup, but they don't have much lateral speed, much lateral quickness. You put that lineup through a whole bunch of off-ball screens, make them run and chase motherfuckers around, and then you got to deal with J.J. Redick being a liability on D as it is. And since he's the smallest guy, he pretty much has to guard the point guard on the other team, unless Jimmy Butler just decides to wear himself ragged like Thibodeau is still the coach. So there's a lot of problems there matchups-wise. And honestly, it was a red flag to me to see them lose to the Celtics with no Kyrie. They always seem to lose to the Celtics, man. I don't know what it is. Now, granted, like I said, the Celtics get calls no one else gets in this galaxy, all right? But at the same time, though, I kind of felt like y'all should have won that game. And Jason Tatum, he was showing the fuck out. And now they're trying to change the narrative. Like, I think Jason Tatum did an interview saying he wouldn't mind being the man on the Pelicans or something. And now people are trying to use that quote that he allegedly said. Now, he may not have said that. That might just be someone looking for clickbait. But if he did say that, then that's just going to give more credence to the people thinking, oh, AD's definitely going to Boston. But AD and his dad have already come out and said he don't want to come to Boston because, number one, they treated Isaiah Thomas like shit. And number two, they ain't going to say it, but I will. It's the most racist sports city in the world. Or maybe not in the world. In this country. You feel me? Yeah, I'm sure there's more racist cities. Chelsea. That's neither here nor there. Let me continue. Anybody that follows soccer, you would know that joke. But anyway, so now let's get into All-Star Weekend, ladies and gentlemen. All-Star Friday, I was pretty trash. I'm not really going to get into that, but I will say this. Quavo, he ain't as good without B-Dot on his team. I'm just going to put it like that. Like, how you let my nigga Famous Los cook you? I'm just saying. Famous Los said, man, I'm finna gun. I ain't mad at you, Famous Los. Get your money, my dude. Get your money, because you part of new media along with me. I respect your come up. You feel me? I respect his come up. You feel it, dig me? But that's neither here nor there. Steve Smith was funny as hell in that game. He was funny. That nigga was playing football on the hardwood. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, let's get into All-Star Saturday. The first thing I want to say is the Curry family are terrible hosts. Terrible. They're too boring. There's nothing edgy about them. There's nothing fun about them. And coming off of the All-Star game in LA, to have them host this weak shit, and don't get it twisted, the All-Star weekend itself wasn't weak. It was just all of the moments where they tried to prop up Steph and his brother and his dad and all this. I'm like, man, we don't care. I hate to say it, like, we don't care. And did y'all notice how they did another charity three-point shootout with a whole bunch of old motherfuckers, and they bricked just like they did the year before with DJ Khaled taking terrible shots from half court and shit? They had to round up again. Oh, we're gonna round it up to 35,000 because all of you are trash. Like, what the fuck? Bro, they jumpers was terrible. You feel me? And the thing that pissed me off is Dale Curry was talking all that hot shit like, oh yeah, I'm still a good shooter. Like, nah, bro, nah. So then you have the skill competition that happened. I thought this was pretty dope. Jason Tatum ended up pulling it out with a half-court shot, beating Trae Young in the finals. I liked how they randomized the matchups before they happened, with Ludacris standing on that speaker and shit like that. I thought that was pretty funny. But the way the teams were picked, it did kind of feel like it was premeditated. The way the two bigs ended up being selected to go against each other. It was almost like they wanted to guarantee a big made the next round. I don't know. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I do like it when it appears randomized at least. It makes it a little bit more interesting. The three-point competition. My only problem is it has too many fucking people in it now, man. Now, I know the league is becoming three-point centric, but watching 10 people shoot in 1 minute intervals, first off, okay, that's 10 minutes, not counting the commercial time in between all of them. Then you do another round with 3 of them. I mean, it's just really weird, man. I don't know, man. It's just a little too repetitive. You know, I remember the days where you could do a 3-point shootout and they would cut it like split screen and you would see people shooting against each other live. That was better to me. Because that created more suspense, because all you really had to do in those days was beat the guy you were competing against. You didn't have to just have the best top 3 score out of everybody, right? So all you had to worry about was competing against the man in front of you. I thought that made it more interesting. Like now, it's just one guy goes at a time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, man. And I get it. They're trying to stall for time because they're trying to make sure All-Star Saturday lasts for a whole 3 hours. So I get where they're coming from, but I don't know. I just like, I like 1v1 3-point competitions. I think it's more fun. So the way I would change this essentially is, essentially bring back 1v1 and have 5 different 1v1s, like the skill comp. This would allow them to cut time, and it would allow more people to make it to the second round. It would also allow the best scorer to skip the second round and go to the final round. That way the remaining 4 could go at it in 2 heats, and then let the remaining 3 get center stage to win it all like they normally do. I think this would be more fun because it would feel like everybody like competed against someone one-on-one and earned their way there. They didn't just get lucky, but that's neither here nor there. It's just my suggestion to make it more fun to watch, but I absolutely love seeing Stephanie choke against Joe Harris. I mean, Steph once again showed the world that he isn't clutch. I mean, he showed his hometown he ain't clutch, man. If it ain't a moving screen from Draymond, that motherfucker can't shoot. I'm just saying, okay? Even when the whole building is rooting for him, he lacks confidence. And for him to lose to a guy who was on the 2016 Cavaliers roster made it even better. A lot of people don't remember that Joe Harris was on the Cavs, but he was. He's got a ring, coach. And I'm willing to bet you he wasn't scared of Stephanie because he knows Steph ain't clutch too. You feel me? As soon as he knew, oh, it's me versus Steph, I got this, man. Because I'm the ultimate warrior. Call back to LeBron's t-shirt coming off the plane. But have y'all noticed how Shaq keeps calling himself the Black Steph Curry whenever he shoots threes? He said this before on Inside the NBA and Players Only with nobody challenging. No one challenging him. But then on All-Star Saturday night in Steph's hometown, Shaq somehow felt the need to explain himself. He basically said Steph isn't the Black Steph Curry because he's light-skinned. Which I didn't appreciate at all because that implies light skin isn't black. But did you all notice all of the people in the audience that laughed at this excuse? Steph's family even laughed it off, and the crowd did too, showing me that Steph truly doesn't identify as black. Because if he did, he would have taken that personally. But if he doesn't consider himself black, why was he the guy talking about black-on-black crime at the ESPYs a few years ago? I can't tell if Shaq is throwing shade at Steph or if he's trying to put him on this higher pedestal of greatness because of his skin tone. But this went over most people's heads because most casuals are still sheep and aren't awakened yet. Okay, awakened yet, my fault. Now, the dunk competition is what I really want to talk about because I thought this was one of the better dunk competitions since Aaron Gordon performed. Really good, really good. But let's be real, y'all gotta stop dick riding this dude Dennis Smith Jr. Last year y'all said he was robbed. This year that nigga choked, alright? It's time to hang it up, coach. I'm just being honest, alright? I'm just being honest. You know, niggas is dick riding this guy, alright? You know, I mean, the dunk competition was going really good until Dennis Smith Jr. started missing all his attempts. I mean, really, he was the one who ruined the pace and suspense of the fucking competition. But luckily for all of us, a rookie named Hamidou Diallo stole the show with one of the greatest dunks I've ever seen. I mean, this man jumped over Shaquille O'Neal and put his elbow in the rim like Vince Carter. Just to jump over Shaq is difficult enough. And then I got people nitpicking, oh, he vaulted over him. He put his hand on his shoulder. Man, let's see your bitch ass put your hand on Shaq's shoulder and jump over him then. Let's see Dennis Smith Jr.'s weak ass jump over Shaq then, if it's that easy. See, shut the fuck up. I hate this hater shit. Hater shit. Niggas always hate on the brother that look like he African. You notice that? That's that self-hate kicking in, man. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that a lot of these niggas is J. Cole dick riders. Let me just speak on the truth here. That Dennis Smith Jr. dunk with J. Cole was fucking trash. But y'all acted like that was a 50 just because J. Cole was part of it and because they was in North Carolina. That dunk was garbage. It was a standard dunk over a nigga that's sitting down dunk. How can you possibly downplay a guy jumping over Shaq and putting his elbow in the rim, but then look at Dennis Smith Jr. vault over Dwayne Wade, a 6'4" guy, and then act like that dunk was special? This is the double standard, y'all. J. Cole fans, they are some of the most try-hardy niggas I have ever experienced in my life. J. Cole could say, water is wet, I am the best. Oh my God, I never thought about it that way. I thought water was somewhat dry. That's y'all, man. Y'all are becoming as toxic as Kendrick fans. Because y'all won't even give Diallo his credit. And it ain't all of y'all, but it's some of y'all. Okay? You know, like y'all taking that middle child shit to the head, bruh. That dunk was trash. Then for J. Cole to do a rim grazer package dunk and miss made it even worse. Made it even worse. So you gonna rock this man's high school jersey and he can't even do a rim grazer dunk? Doesn't that take away from the dunk you did, nigga? So why do people think DSJ should have won? Y'all crazy or something? Man. I just don't get people, dog. I just don't get people, man. You know, but Dave, he wore his high school jersey. Shut your bitch ass up. Who cares? You feel me? Who cares? Like, I just don't get people, man. Like for real, like for real. If Dave East and Cameron, first off, Dave East and Cameron were much better hoopers than J. Cole ever was in high school, okay? But none of y'all would be this gassed if they showed up to the All-Star Weekend in New York and sat on the same fucking chair and missed the same fucking rim grazer dunk, proving my point that y'all are J. Cole dick riders. Cause it ain't about J. Cole being a good hooper. It's all about J. Cole being a good rapper. But this ain't got shit to do with his rapping ability. That's my point. Y'all are using J. Cole's rapping ability to give DSJ extra points on a dunk that was not that good. But he put his hands on the ball first and he threw it. Oh my God. Bro, Steve Nash's dunk with Amari Stoudemire where he kick-flipped that bitch, that shit was colder than that. Okay? Like, let's be real. Okay? Like, man, that let me know y'all dudes need to lay off some of the weed. Cause y'all tweaking. Now let's continue. And don't even get me started. I already mentioned this, but that was a pathetic dunk over D-Wade, DSJ. Pathetic. You mean to tell me you can't jump over somebody 6'4"? I mean, it took him several tries to jump over D-Wade, okay? Whereas Hamidou Diallo jumped over a 7'1" Shaquille O'Neal on the first try. I want to keep driving that point home, okay? You know, so it takes you several tries to jump over a 6'4" guy. It takes him one try to jump over a 7'1" guy. But there's people trying to convince me DSJ's dunk was somehow more complicated. Like, I just don't get it, man. I really don't get it. Like, Dennis Smith might as well retire from the dunk competition now, because Zion Williamson is coming soon. But after that injury last night, I don't know if he's coming to the dunk competition. But that's neither here nor there. And don't let Aaron Gordon come back too, okay? DSJ won't have a chance. And that takes me to the foundation of my argument. People are too biased to root for the little guy in the dunk competition. They downplay everything someone taller does, and then they overrate simple dunks just because of dumb reasons like, but his air time, bro. His air time. He was floating. Was the dunk good though? Are we jumping the spring? Are we judging the springs or are we judging the finish? You feel me? As if all these other players don't be up high. People just need to hop off Cole's dick and give Diallo the credit he deserves. Shit, I saw Diallo take a safe dunk to guarantee his win. He went up 7 points. Then Dennis Smith Jr. took like 4 tries to jump over D-Wade, and they gave him a 50 just to force Diallo to do a good dunk. Like, no. You don't start judging people and giving them points based off of you want the other guy to have to do something interesting. Like, what the fuck? Diallo already had the dunk of the night. You know, it's not his fault that DSJ choked. How you gonna give this guy? First off, that takes away from the judge's credibility. Because if you're scoring this based off of situation and not based off the dunk itself, then why the fuck are we here? Man, let's move on over to the All-Star game, man. Like, for real. Like, that's the part that pissed me off. And clearly y'all can tell, okay? because I was seeing a lot of J. Cole nut hug. Cool world, cool world. Look, man, the dude's music is great. I will never knock his music, but we need to stop acting like Dennis Smith Jr. in any way, shape, or form deserved to win that dunk comp. Now let's get to the All-Star game. The All-Star game was hilarious because I was watching it while I was in the Xbox Live party chat with my homeboys Keith and Chris. Shout outs to them. I wanted to give them a quick little shout out. It started kind of slow for Team LeBron. I mean, they were getting blown the fuck out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, Giannis was just dunking on him each time down the court. He was thirsty for the MVP. But I mean, at the end of the day, he knows his shot is broke as fuck, so he gotta dunk the ball in the All-Star game. That's all he can do, you know? Everybody was blowing out of proportion that Steph alley-oop to him. That shit wasn't even that good. Even the pass was better than the dunk. For him to bounce it and for it to land, now that was cool, but all Giannis did was jump straight up in the air and wait for it to come down, then put it down. That wasn't shit, though. Like, it really wasn't shit. But because Steph was part of it, everyone lost their shit. I get it. All right, whatever. But yeah, so the first half wasn't really competitive. Then the second half comes around and Team LeBron are playing like they just popped a sensu bean. Allegedly, they came back because of a deal that they made with Mike Malone, the head coach. Team LeBron wanted to watch the J. Cole concert at halftime, so Mike Malone told them and made a deal with them that if they go watch this concert at halftime, then they have to play hard for him in the second half. They must have enjoyed Middle Child, because these motherfuckers bodied Team Giannis in the second half. I mean, they went from being down almost 20 points to being up by 10 with less than a minute left. I mean, that's impressive. But now I want to talk about the MVP of this All-Star game, because I think my brother Dame Lillard got robbed, ladies and gentlemen. I think he 100% got robbed. I think the Golden State Dick Rider bias kicked in. I think it kicked in. Because even though you can look at KD's statistics and go, he scored more points, Dave, but how many of those points mattered to winning the actual game? How many of those points changed the momentum of the game, right? Dame Lillard's points changed the entire game. Him and Klay Thompson. But I'd argue it was Dame that got people going, ooh, this motherfucker was just pulling up and dropping people off. So much so, he earned a nickname. How do you earn a nickname from the All-Star game and not win an MVP from it? That is a travesty in itself. And it once again shows when you're from a smaller market, people don't really rock with you like that. And he probably lost because he didn't have the popularity vote that KD naturally had to get to from the beginning. So this shit wasn't cool to me. You should not let the audience vote for the MVP, because they're always going to vote for the person that they've seen the most. Because most of these people voting are casuals. Let's be real. Yeah, man. So at the end of the day, man, this pissed me off, man, because it should have been Dame, man. The best point guard in the NBA. I'm going to say it again, damn it. Dame is the one who brought Team LeBron back. Dame is the one who woke the crowd back up. Dame is the one who wasn't a starter, but was left in the game to close the game out, which is a huge testament to his leadership, by the way. I mean, that shows you the respect his teammates have for him by itself. Dame even got a new nickname, which I mentioned, called Logo Lillard from the game. And have y'all noticed how it's pissing white folks off, trying to hold Jerry West as this standard? He can never be Logo Lillard because Jerry West is the logo. I even saw Byron Scott complaining about this on the jump. Like, why are you mad? Like, what kind of bullshit is this? You feel me? And I get it. Jerry West is a guy who put together a lot of great Lakers teams, so he has loyalty to Jerry West there. But Jerry West is a Clipper now, man. Get off his dick. That's just how I feel, all right? And at the end of the day, Adam Banks didn't do shit in this game to change the momentum, but he somehow got the award. This that Golden State bias I be talking about. And did y'all notice how down the stretch towards the end of the game, everybody took turns putting Stephanie through a blender? I peeped game. Stephanie couldn't stop a nosebleed towards the end of this game. Boy, that motherfucker, it was almost like Kill Bill. Dun, 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 dun. It's like everybody saw blood when he was guarding him. It was hilarious. Dude got destroyed in his own city by everybody in the game, okay? But notice how the media only shows that bounce pass to Giannis for the alley-oop, or Steph getting the 4-point play on Klay. This is the Curry bias, ladies and gentlemen. We don't get to see his lowlights, just like the media never show Jordan's lowlights. But people complain about LeBron. At least people show LeBron's mistakes on television. I'm getting tired of Jalen Rose. Now let's get at Jalen Rose for a second, because I've been putting you on game with the subtle shade Jalen Rose has been throwing at LeBron. But let's dive deeper, okay? I'm getting tired of Jalen Rose and his sneak disses towards LeBron because he clearly is only mad about the school LeBron's opened up being better than his. So he views LeBron as a copycat probably. But isn't Jalen the same copycat for that lame-ass class of 81 bullshit? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, y'all. That is some of the fakest Shaq and the Fool shit I've ever seen. These dudes straight up copied TNT and said, it's working for them. How the fuck can you hate on LeBron when you copying your competition, nigga? So that's that weak shit. Bro, ever since this dude got with Molly Curran, he been off his square. That's my opinion. You might not agree with it, but that's my opinion. I think he doesn't open up that school if he was with Molly Curran before he opened it. That's just how I feel, man. I feel like Shorty got him, she got him tweaking a bit, all right? Now, that's his wife, so I ain't gonna go any deeper into that because I don't disrespect wives. But that's all I'm gonna say. Now, so why is it okay for Jalen to copy the competition, but it isn't okay for LeBron to open a better school? See, Jalen Rose ain't been a real motherfucker here. He ain't being a real motherfucker here. I'm just gonna be real with y'all, okay? And we've already seen those pictures of him staring into the abyss like a robot at one of them games. I'm sure y'all saw that. So we need to keep our eyes on Jalen, okay? Because something tells me he's not the same brother that started at Grantland with Bill Simmons these days. He appears to have changed a bit. I can't put my finger on it. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the big story of the day. Zion Williamson getting injured versus North Carolina by slipping on the floor. I mean, when I tell you the NBA, I'm not the NBA, ESPN hyped this game so hard, and when you take into account the NBA season didn't start back up until Thursday, allowing this North Carolina rivalry game to happen on Wednesday, and then when you also take into account that All-Star Weekend happened in North Carolina, this lets me know that the schedulers for college basketball are working with the schedulers of NBA basketball. Okay, that's what lets me know. So that's interesting in itself, letting me know that the NCAA could be paying these players some money because they're obviously getting some money from the NBA to be working through around their schedules the way they are, to not be in competition with each other on the same day. So that's some bullshit there. So pay attention to that. Now, when Zion first slipped, I gotta be honest with y'all, I thought this was a torn meniscus, a torn ACL perhaps. And once I saw it, I was like, man, he needs to shut this shit down. You know, I told people he would be a bust, but I never wanted him to be one because of an injury. I just want to drive that point home. I thought Zion Williamson would be a bust because he's a top-heavy big guy who relies on athleticism. And as a big guy who lost a lot of weight in college and started to gain a lot of athleticism in my legs out after the weight loss, I started noticing that every time I jumped too high, my body wasn't necessarily ready for all of the torque I put on my knees when I landed. See, the jumping ain't the hard part, it's the landing. And if this brother is already having knee problems, then it could get worse and worse as he gets older. Now, granted, people can argue, well, Dave, he could just get stronger and stronger though. You know, he could, you know, do a whole bunch of leg presses, get his lower body calf raises, get his lower body really strong, get his foundation like tree trunks, and he probably won't have these problems. But at the end of the day, when you play the game Zion does, which is a game that isn't based on skill, it's based on will, which I respect him for because of his physicality, I'm sorry, I would not pick him in the draft. After seeing this injury, I wouldn't pick him in the draft. Now, they're saying this is only a mild sprained knee. So this isn't no career-ending injury. This isn't something that necessarily should have him sitting out a long period of time. But my true opinion on this is, Zion, you shouldn't play another game for free ever again. No. Fuck Duke. You know how much money they made off of you last night? Bro, I heard it was $3 grand a ticket. You had Obama sitting courtside, coach. Obama. So understand, motherfuckers paid $3 grand to see this dude play for 30 seconds. Understand that. If that ain't new level shit, next level shit, man, listen. That should be enough incentive for him to sit this out, man. Because I think if he does sit this out, he will be looked at as a martyr for everyone else. Because if Zion sits out, then it will get everyone's attention. But if somebody else does it, it probably doesn't, right? And when you add to all of this the fact that his fucking shoe blew up, okay, his Nikes blew up, LeVar Ball gotta be watching this shit on TV happy as fuck. Like, let's be real, coach. Let's be real. Everybody was clowning the Big Baller Brand Zoe shoes, right? oh man, these cheap. I'll pay $500 for this. Meanwhile, y'all pay for shoes from the same fucking type of sweatshops, but it just got a different color palette on it, and y'all niggas spend $150 on it and think you fly. When in reality, you could be rocking some shit that's $20, and you could be just as fly if you truly had confidence in yourself, but you truly believe your value is based off what is on your body, not what's inside of your body. And see, that's the problem black people in general gotta get over. We're so busy trying to prove we didn't come from nothing that we overly spend on shit to prove we ain't there no more. Meanwhile, white folks is just saving their money over and over and over again. Okay? Like real talk. Like, and see, that's the biggest problem. And no one wants to hold Jordan accountable for that, for all these expensive shoes. Because then they say, well, what about everyone else's expensive shoes? Jordan sets the standard, dumb motherfucker. The same way Zion could set a standard right now by sitting out the rest of the season. Okay? But see, the people who could set the standard, they're often the ones that are too scared to do it. Which is what made what Colin Kaepernick did so impressive. And I'd argue if Colin Kaepernick would have done that in the pinnacle of his career, it would have been even more impactful. But because he didn't do it in the pinnacle of his career, everyone just wants to use the excuse, well, he wasn't as good and that's why he did it. So you just can't win sometimes, all right? You just can't win sometimes. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I just think people that are that top heavy aren't meant to jump that high for a reason. The amount of torque you put on your knees is crazy. Now with the possible knee injury, he may have to change his game forever, and he may never trust his knee the same way again. And like I said in a previous rant, what position does he play once you take away his athleticism? He can't shoot. He isn't that good of a passer. His defending is above average, but I don't think he'll defend as well on the next level at the 4 position. But with limited athleticism, he's basically an overhyped Draymond. I wouldn't use a top 3 pick on that type of a skill set. So this injury has also shook up the draft, possibly. LeVar Ball is somewhere thinking his big baller brand sneakers can't be dissed ever again after this Nike debacle. But could you blame him? People clowned him in our community for starting a black-owned business, but these same people didn't mind D-Wade rocking Lenings back in the day. I remember that shit. See, I got a legit memory with this stuff. And I remember when people go, oh man, he's trying something new, I commend him. When it's a guy you're already dick riding, you're always looking at the glasses half full. When it's a guy you don't want to give the chance to, you always look at it as half empty, and that's the problem. I'm just the guy who points out everyone else's biases, and that's why it's called Recency Bias Radio, baby. So let's continue. But yeah, at the end of the day, those Lenings allegedly are what ruined D-Wade's knees, but no one wants to go there, okay? No one wants to go there, and you see Lonzo Ball is having problem with knee issues all of a sudden over and over, and I think people are trying to connect the dots that that's because he wears triple B shoes, but honestly, I don't think Lonzo wears triple B shoes all the time. I think the whole purpose of being a big baller brand player is that you can wear any shoe you want when you hoop. So I think he just might be getting hurt just because he be getting hurt. And I think to a certain extent, he be faking injuries so they don't trade him. Because you know you got to do like physicals and shit to clear trades. But see, that's in other sports though. It feels like in basketball, you could be traded and be hurt. Shit, I saw Mike Muscala, and see, this is the thing that pissed me off. On 2K19, if you try to trade a player, there's a rule set up where you gotta wait like I don't know, 90 days or something before you could trade him again. Why was it that Mike Muscala got traded from the 76ers to the Clippers and then got traded from the Clippers to the Lakers for Zubac? How the fuck did that shit happen in a 2-day span? That's against the rules. Why isn't no one bringing this shit up, right? So understand, I'm talking about a lot of real shit in this episode now, okay? And do the research on it. There's rules that should have never allowed Muscala to go to the Lakers. So understand, they could have been cheating for the Lakers to give them a big man that could shoot right there, but it went over a lot of people's heads because all they wanted to focus on was Zubac, who's been playing kind of impressive, okay? So let's continue. But yeah, so at the end of the day, so for Nike to give Zion some sneakers that ruin his knees is astounding when you take into consideration the difference in budget alone. People are telling me he was rocking Paul George's sneakers. I don't know if those was really Paul George's sneakers or not, but I did see a Z on them, so it felt like those were like some Team Zion sneakers. But they could have been the Paul George type. I don't know. They could have been like the style of Paul George's. I'm not sure, with the strap on the front and shit. But there is a bright side to all of this though, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe now college athletes will get paid their worth after Zion's injury because folks paid upwards of $3 grand just to see him play for 30 seconds. If that doesn't tell you how much these players are worth, nothing will. And if the NCAA doesn't decide to pay them, it also helps LeVar Ball's bottom line because he still has an alternative for whoever wants it with the Junior Basketball Association League, aka the JBA. Bottom line, Zion needs to shut it down and should even consider sitting out his rookie season to get fully healthy like Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons did. It would allow his team to continue to tank and get him some help so he won't have to do all the heavy lifting from Jump Street. Coach K says it's only a mild knee sprain. That's great because he didn't break anything or tear any ligaments. I'm happy for you, brother. But I still think you should shut it down until the draft regardless. It just isn't worth it to test your luck twice, okay? So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing I want to discuss is Kyrie and KD's secret meeting in Miami. A lot of people are trying to use this as reasons to point out a conspiracy or to speculate on whether they will play together. I think it's highly probable they will play together because I have done my reporting on how KD has gone out of his way to say Kyrie's the best point guard of all time. You know, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, has this motherfucker never heard of Isaiah Zeke Thomas? What the fuck are you talking about? And see, that's what led me down the route of telling people, like, the disrespect Isaiah Zeke Thomas, let me be specific, Chicago Isaiah, the disrespect he gets from so many former players, I think it's 100% based off of the dick riding that people give Jordan. Oh, Jordan don't like you, I don't either type shit. You feel me? So, but I do have another question, ladies and gentlemen. People are saying Kyrie and KD may come to the New York Knicks because they have all this cap room, and people are saying, oh, they would automatically get their names, get their jerseys in the rafters if they came there. Like, people are really talking crazy. Like, no one ever said if LeBron just becomes a Laker because they've been irrelevant for so long, his jersey will go straight up in the rafters. But somehow KD and Kyrie, two niggas that both needed other niggas to win something, somehow both of them going to the Knicks makes them immediately in the right. All right, whatever, bro. But I did want to ask this question in closing. Does Zion Williamson's injury impact at all whether they go to the Knicks or not, because they won't be able to flip Zion as an asset before he gets healthy? That's my question. If Zion sits out the rest of college, right, then I could see a lot of people thinking, well, maybe his knee isn't as good as we thought. Because my thing is, if you sit out the rest of college and you got a knee that could be fucked up, and you're Zion Williamson, why compete in the draft combine? Why even show up? Okay, they know what they're getting. Why even risk injury? You know, these people know you're strong. They don't need to see you bench press. They don't need to see none of that shit. They've seen the tape, okay? So if I'm Zion, I don't do none of that shit, and I make someone take a chance on me, and whoever decides they're gonna take a chance on me, I'm gonna ride with you to the end. But I'm basically just asking this question because if the Knicks planned on drafting Zion to flip that into an asset to possibly get a third player to go with Kyrie and KD, and Zion has an injury, I think they can't flip Zion, which leads to them not picking Zion. And I can see a lot of people going out of their way not to pick Zion now because they might look at it as, you know, that one knee injury that wasn't really a huge knee injury that scared us now, because the minute, I can't stress this enough, Zion Williamson with no athleticism isn't that good of a player. Isn't that good. You feel me? He's not a skilled player like that, okay? So, in my opinion, I've been telling y'all from the get-go before this injury even happened that the Bulls should go after RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, he's the one who pretty much got the best end of the deal out of all of this, because in my opinion, everyone is going to be lobbying for RJ Barrett, I think, at this point. And let's be real, that North Carolina Duke game, North Carolina gave y'all motherfuckers a spanking y'all will never forget. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Season 4, Episode 4, Choose Your Destiny. Okay, my name is Dave Smith, your humble host. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you could, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And on the right side of my channel's page, click on that bell. That way you can be here for the next premiere. If you're listening on SoundCloud, please don't forget to heart it and please share it as well. Or I don't know, is that a retweet button, or is that like, I don't know what button that technically is on SoundCloud where you like repost it. I think that's the name of it, repost it. And be sure to repost it and like it as well. I truly appreciate all the support you all give me. I'm giving y'all 2 good hours, man. I hope y'all have been thoroughly entertained. Until next time, I'm out of here. You have just listened to the critically acclaimed Pop the Trunk Podcast Hall of Fame, Recency Bias Radio, with me as your host, Dave Smith, where no one is safe from criticism. If you're interested in further episodes, please subscribe and hit that button on the right side, because more will be in demand. You can now find our podcast episodes on SoundCloud and YouTube, along with our Recency Bias Radio rants. Thanks for listening, and always remember to keep those takes hot and keep that same energy.